If the information you have fed the AI with is wrong, the data subject should be allowed to rectify it. Data minimization, so many things. Now, IP, intellectual property. People are innovating. My Nigerians, we're all very smart, and there's a lot of innovation going on. But then people don't really know how to protect what they're innovating. So that is a challenge also. And we have a few people asking us, can we patent what we have? At least at a minimum. First, before patent is a bit of a longer process, but at a minimum, understand that when you code, there's copyright there. When you have a logo, even for the AI and the slogan, there's trademark there. Protect it, because as it becomes bigger, then it could be used by anyone if you're not protecting it. But I have tried to say in many words the challenges and how we're helping.
Thank you so much for going into that, because solutions is very important, not just talking about the challenges, which we will talk about in the next round. So I'm going to go to Israel. You're running ChatV currently, and I wanted to have you discuss some of the challenges with AI chatbots, because that seems to be your forte in your industry. So what are the challenges that we're seeing with people using AI? Because now you're on the building side, you're bringing out products in the AI space. What challenges are creators and those that are building and developing products in the industry facing with AI?
Thank you. So basically, the first thing that I would say is that I've built something that has used the OpenAI API, but personally, I've not interacted with ChatGPT before, not even to ask hi or hello.
Are you serious?
So
wow.
One of the things was that when I first approached the platform, ChatGPT was like asking for me to sign up my email or something, and I don't want to give out my data, so I back off. So that's one of the issues that comes with interacting with chatbots. People are having an idea about the data privacy. So, and the first thing we did was that while building ChatV, we make sure that you don't require anything to sign up or to, log in before you can interact with ChatV. And as a matter of fact, we have about a survey shows that about 40% of people actually, they don't care whether you deploy a chatbot to solve their problem or maybe a human agent, as long as they get a timely and the right answer, which is prompt. So then we believe that, okay, so as long as people don't have something that is affecting their data privacy or maybe inflicting on their privacy, so they can actually, go forward and interact with our chatbot. So, and currently, when you look at the global sector, just like my previous speakers have said, the fear of leaving no one behind or not being left behind. So everyone is trying to, deploy AI and make sure that it's in at the back of their system. I actually don't see anything bad in it, because we are in the digital age and we ought to evolve as well. Imagine being a legal practitioner, you have your services, and I have to start flipping through your web pages. In fact, some web developers are so good that some frequently asked questions, they put an icon of plus. When you click it, it expands, you read, then it turns to minus, you minimize it back. So all this, process of trying to understand what your legal business or maybe your enterprise does. But with an interaction with a chatbot, you can easily know more without having to be sifting through web pages to understand what the business actually do and how they can come in. So these are one of the things we see. And we've trained ChatV with about 7.7 billion parameters. But the fact is that we didn't retain any of this data. And the moment we are done training, just like the previous speakers have said, so a whole lot of data goes into training, especially what we are discussing, Gen AI, because there has been automation in the past and there is AI in the past. But the moment Gen AI, which generates something from little information, comes into play, so that's a different thing entirely. And that one takes us into building large language models, something that can understand even without you giving much more information. And how did we achieve that? What was missing in the early version of ChatGPT, which is the ability to browse the internet, we integrate into ChatV the moment we deploy, meaning that ChatV does not need to access all of your information to actually respond to your query. So ChatV can on its own browse the internet. In fact, the strongest functionality of ChatV is for fact checking. So I was demoing with someone a few days ago. they were asking if the Minister for Interior actually, declared Thursday the last public holiday, and ChatV dealt with that. So this is what we did with ChatV, because we didn't train ChatV about Nigerian data politics or any other thing. But ChatV can actually fact check based on the fact that it can browse the internet to look for sifting through Wayback Machine, digital archives, timestamp to, provide you with feedback on whatever information you're asking for. So using AI, the data issue is part of it, but at least some of us are getting international training to mitigate some of these. And like earlier speakers, no regulation yet, except for the EU Act, EU AI Act. And I recently know that I think US also is trying to collaborate with Britain to come up with something as regards the use of AI.
Thank you so much. So we've gone through a lot of challenges. As we can see, AI has its fair share of challenges. So we're going to go into solutions now. We've talked about the challenges. AI has bias, there's emergent properties, there's no regulation or, few guidelines here and there, lack of corporate governance, goals and processes. So Rotimi, how do we go about bridging this gap? How do organizations, businesses, individuals that are working within this AI ecosystem, how do we bridge the gap between the challenges and then the innovative aspects of AI? Because whether we like it or not, AI is here to stay and is here to enhance us. But we need to, work responsibly with AI. So if you could just give us some insight into that.
Another fantastic question. And I think the first thing is business owners, leaders, law firm leaders, partners, we must understand the technology. And I'm borrowing a leaf from my brother here. Understanding it is at the core of solving the problems. Understanding it also means experimenting with it, using it, all right? That's one. Now, let's begin to address the issues, and I'll do it very quickly. Intellectual property. First is when we recognize, that's why I said, understand the technology. Understand that this is a technology that is capable of auto-producing new content. Fine, arguably, it produces the content by reading, and I'm using that word broadly, reading content from online. And then it kind of makes its permutations and comes up many times with thoughts, ideas that you did not think about before or that has not existed. So that's an IP question that challenges our existing IP regime. Our existing IP regime, first of all, is big on human authorship, on some level of originality, all right? It did not envisage autonomous decision-making by machines. How do we solve that? To every lawyer in the room, we have to solve it together. It's not an easy issue to solve. So what I'm saying is we must begin to think deeply. But I could only raise this issue because there's a deeper challenge. And all right, let me move on to solution number 2. We've talked about the data privacy issues, the data protection issues. I think, like my brother on my left here has just said, one of the things that business owners must have front and center is from day one of development, we are building in privacy by design mechanisms into whatever AI infrastructure we are developing, whether we are building custom AI or whether we are leveraging enterprise large language models, we are factoring in privacy by design. Number 3, sorry. When it comes to the governance and ethical issues, especially for us lawyers that advises businesses or even in our firms, we must have a default posture of AI ethics, which means the fact that the AI can do something ask yourself, does it mean that it should do it? Right? So we're putting ethics forward to say, yes, the AI can improve efficiencies, it can drive business strategy, but must it do everything it has the capability to do? That means we begin to design AI policies. So while we are waiting on governments for regulatory and compliance environment, can we begin to build policies eternally based on norms and principles? And we've mentioned them: privacy, accountability, transparency. Can we begin to build those policies within our organizations to say, hey, we are going to use this technology, but we will use them within the guardrails of these ethical boundaries? All right. So those are solutions, all right, but you would find out that many of these solutions really come down to deep reflection and stepping back to say, hey, we are going to deploy the technology, but as lawyers, for instance, we still want to maintain the integrity of our of our profession. As lawyers, we still want to ensure that we are accountable for what we generate. As lawyers, and this is my last point, we want to ensure that human review, right, takes precedence over the work of the machine, which means as great as the ChatGPT or Gemini or ChatV is, the human takes overall responsibility to say, for instance, Ikemesit, your 15 plus years of experience, there's something you bring to the table. Yes, AI arguably can bring emotional intelligence to the table. It can bring creativity to the table, but it will not bring context to the table. It will not bring conceptual thinking to the table. It will not bring nuanced human judgment to the table, right? So what you are saying is we would approach this new machine age with a co-intelligence mindset. Human intelligence plus machine intelligence, then we are unstoppable.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. So that's the human in the loop. We need to ensure that for businesses and those of us that are in the AI ecosystem to begin to create policies and processes within our organizations, having those guardrails. So I'm going to go to Victor back again. You're a committee member of IEEE. We want to have that global perspective. When you're talking about AI and solutions on that global level, what are we seeing that organizations are creating for best practices now, for organizations within this AI ecosystem?
Okay, all right, thank you. Rotimi has actually sort of nudged me towards that direction, right? So when I think of some of the solutions, thinking from a global perspective, and just to mention, I'm no more a member. I left last year.
Okay, we have the insights.
And first was one of the conversations, I mean, early on, the conversation around EU AI Act. I had like few colleagues that actually helped to develop that. That was way back 2019 when they started the conversation. And one of the key things that we were talking about was how do we ensure that, industries generally can operationalize a lot of these principles like fairness, accountability, transparency, explainability, and the likes, just to ensure that we can always keep it going, right? And me, for one, I'm of the opinion that if we're going to, I know we've thrown in issues of regulation here and there, but we need to also be very cautious because regulation, sometimes when you have blanket regulation, and I tell my colleagues, some of them that, they worked on the EU Act, I said, see, you are going to, after enforcement, two years down the line, you are going to also still struggle with keeping up with the pace on implementation, right, on enforcement. You are going to struggle because at the pace in which AI moves, you're right, it moves at, for instance, a very classic example would be the tokens that you would require to build large language models, let's say 4 months back, has changed. You are now seeing companies actually building like 1 million tokens, which means what that means in literal sense is there's a lot of context now that, you know, is attached to these models. And so for industries, one that I would first start is there are two players here that need to actually, just broadly, there's the part industries need to play and there's the part policymakers need to play. First is industry, and Rotimi has done a fantastic job there. We need to actually think of standards. From a global perspective, you would see that from a standards perspective, right, you're seeing that there are different, I would say, de facto standards that are coming up. So de facto standards like things like red teaming. Red teaming here is basically you're building a large model and you bring in different kinds of actors, social scientists, developers, lawyers, all of them. You bring them and then they help you find arms and risk, you know, nascent arms and risk that are embedded within those models. So that's a very good way to think of it. Then you actually have de facto standards around assurance. So things like audits. I know lawyers here are smiling as I mentioned audits, right? Audits are actually very good, you know, tools, especially ensuring that you can, you know, fact check and you can do things around, you know, for instance, you're also still trying to identify some certain harms and risks that might pose serious threats to human life. And then there are things like watermarking, which is also a very good tool, especially when you're trying to navigate around things that border on IP and, you know, originality. Those are key things that you can use. And also licensing, right? These are de facto standards that are actually embedded. But licensing, my own concern about licensing is the fact that a lot of startups, especially your area, a lot of startups will, based on the kind of, you know, requirements that'll be put out, they might actually struggle to meet up. So for instance, I'm gradually, you know, pivoting more into computing governance, right? AI computing governance. And there are different type of thresholds that are being developed over and over, right? And when I think of it, especially in this part of the world, I would see that small companies might actually struggle to meet up with such type of standards. However, licensing can, you know, be designed in such a way you are thinking around the whole scale. You're not just thinking about big tech, but you're also thinking about these small firms that either develop or actually, you know, buy this kind of technologies off the shelf. So from an industry, that's how I think of it. And also to just point out is for policymakers, I think first is about understanding. See, the truth is, I myself, I'm serious. I've been researching AI for, like I said, close to 10 years. I started as a researcher, then a consultant and all of that. But the truth is, I still struggle sometimes to keep up, right, with the pace. And that means there's a lot of education that needs to go in, especially for policymakers. You cannot just say what was relevant 6 months ago will be relevant now, right? And then you need to constantly educate yourself around how these technologies evolve. And beyond that, also the public interest part. So the public interest here is how does this technology, you know, affect certain kind of groups, especially when you're speaking to things like fairness, and then redesign or continuous designing and redesigning of the human in the loop. That's the accountability side. And yeah, when you're thinking of those kind of, you know, things, especially as a policymaker, whether you are releasing, let's say, an industry code of conduct, and I would assume that, for instance, the national AI strategy that is being developed would actually dovetail into creating those kind of, you know, awareness around industry code of conduct, which I think is a much more viable tool to regulate, because by that, what it means is you understand a very clear side around industries. So, and that was why I was against, you know, having blanket AI regulation, because industries might differ. The computing requirements, for instance, you need for a certain industry might differ from other industries. And that's why you have to think of it in that sense. So for me, I would look at it from those two perspectives, from industry and policymakers, and then constant working together. So I like the idea from the national AI strategy. I think it's good. You have different kind of actors, then you create the ecosystem around that, because the ecosystem here means that when there are new trends in, you know, from a global perspective or from a regional perspective, you can also easily localize from that aspect. So yeah, that's how I would think of it.
Thank you for that, Victor. That's mini class on de facto standards and AI computing governance.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to Sheung. Let's look at AI and look at the imitation aspect of it, because it's easy for organizations to imitate. How do we prefer solutions in that area? Cross-border transactions happening, different regions, because you're working with a lot of organizations from different regions. How do you work on that aspect as a business within the space on imitation as opposed to creation? Because we don't want people to stop being creative, but that imitation aspect needs to be dealt with. So if you can break that down, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So as I always tell people who work with me and businesses, because there's AI and you're using AI, shouldn't numb your originality and creativity. It's very important that businesses, as they use AI, they use it as an enabler, not as the complete work. Whatever you do with AI should also still show your individual thinking, your creativity, your innovation. Now, bear it in mind that the AI was developed with existing data. That means that it doesn't know everything. And today's innovation is tomorrow's history. This means that we must continue to show creativity in what we do. Now, businesses should have policies in place encouraging. It's okay for people to use AI. In fact, it should be encouraged, but they must have a system for ensuring that the individual thinking is reflected. They push past what is suggested and they show creative thinking. Now, to protect your intellectual property when you do that, we then would have to look at the creative aspect of what you did, of the work that came out. Even when you're trying to register like a patent, they say it is the innovation that is protected, isn't it? So when you try to protect your IP, you're going to have to show the regulator the innovative side of what you did. I encourage lawyers, even lawyers in the room, even if you use AI in what you're doing, it should still take you at least another hour, 2 hours of thinking, of owning it, of it being an expression of what you are thinking. Now, you see, a challenge with AI also is the bias that can happen when you don't impute the right values in it, when you don't impute your own original thinking in it. So I would also encourage that companies that want to use AI, consider tailored AI for what you need. I won't really encourage you using off-the-shelf AI, although I know that's what is available right now, and I won't say you can't use it. But businesses that can afford it, recognize what the pain points are, the issues are, and then let AI be tailored to what your issues are. Let the values of the organization be imputed in the AI and let it be customized so that what comes out is a reflection of the thinking, the originality of the business. With respect to cross-border transactions, we now, in the past, we all say we're in a global village, we're about to be in a global village, we are in a global village now. I don't see why anybody will be working now and thinking only about Lagos, not to talk of not thinking of Abuja, and let's move forward to England, China, the world. Everything you do, you have the capacity to go far and wide. AI innovation gives you capacity to offer your services globally. Now, what that brings and the challenge that brings is that when you're going global, you have to be thinking of all the regulatory requirements in the different countries and ensuring compliance. So it's very important that compliance trackers are put in place. Lawyers are looked for, provide advice. Officers are in the organization checking the various compliance requirements in the different countries. Data protection in Nigeria, and there is the GDPR, and there is some in the US and different countries. You have to ensure that however you're handling the data and the services, you have considered the various regulations all over the world. IP, let's look at IP. as you're protecting your IP here, recognize that your protection here might not protect you there. So that means you need to be thinking of protecting your IP globally. You also have to be thinking of the challenge that could come up with third-party claims of infringement. If your staff in your organization are not careful to ensure that there's originality. I must tell you, the other day, someone did some work for me the other day, and it was so good. I started questioning, please, where did you get it? And I was bothered. I hope it's not just,
AI.
but it was good work. Anyway, what I'm saying is that you have to make sure that there's originality in what your staff are doing, and they avoid third-party infringement of all over the world. There can be claims. The organization can be seen to have breached third-party IP rights if you're not careful. So all these things need to be
All
considered.
right. Thank you so much, Sheun, for that. We're coming up on time now because we need to round up. So I'm going to ask Israel a question, the final question before we do the 1 minute roundup. So we're looking at you building within the AI ecosystem. What solutions are you as a builder within the space recommending for organizations, policymakers, regarding capacity building as well, mentorship and things like that within the industry? So if you can just take that for us within a minute so we can round up.
Okay, thank you. So basically, we don't recommend that one size fits all. That's
Okay.
not what we do. So because we build chart, in fact, what we do basically, one of our strong tagline for our marketing is that we are into chatbot as a service, meaning that we tailor it to suit your business data. And the only thing we do is that we have some pre-trained model which you can actually interact with that can, look at maybe specific aspect of your business. For instance, if you're in the hospitality sector, you can interact with a model that can, change and help you book hotel, make your reservation and all of that. And in the flight and the industry, you can change your flight ticket. And so we just give you a pre-trained model. Then we now provide you with the full one, which is specifically trained on your business data. As you may know, if you're in the telecom, a 200 gig package with Glo is not the same amount with 100 gig package with MTN. So that is what we do. And when it comes to capacity building, so this is data science, comp science, computer engineering, or what have us in the field. But what some of us has done in the past is that we've gone so much to actually make sure that we acquire the skill. Like one of the speakers mentioned about the technical gap. In fact, I agree with him. Everybody just be like, I'm a data scientist. But when it comes to training the LLM itself, it becomes an issue. So, and I recall last month I was in Accra I went for a hands-on workshop on how to use the latest model of Azure, which is the prompt flow, on how to train LLM, which is large language model. So I think it was facilitated by DataKind from the UK. So this is how far some of us go. And locally, we have the likes of Data Scientists Network, which I've been a member for 5 years. And also personally, I've trained over 1,000 students of Bowen University on data Python programming for machine learning. So these are some of the ways we bridge the skill gap when it comes to building AI solutions.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I wish we had more time. There's a lot to discuss, but we have to move on. So I'm just going to ask our speakers for the future and AI and businesses. How do you see this? Just a 30 seconds, take away tip for us. 30 seconds. So either of you can go first, whoever is ready.
Of work, AI is not here to take our jobs, except if you don't want to learn how to use AI.
Yeah.
AI is just here to make it much more simpler, work efficiently. That's all.
Thank you so much. Who's going next?
All right, so piggyback on what he said. So having understood that AI helps to improve operational efficiency and even to drive innovation, we must have a mindset that remembers that there are ethical and there are legal boundaries. All right. That said, for every business owner and lawyer in the room, continuous education, that curiosity, that wanting to know is what I think secures the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
would just say, for anyone in business, for lawyers and anyone in whatever sector you're in, I encourage you to begin to look at the areas of friction that you have, the areas in which you're not efficient, and consider using AI. AI will help. It's an enabler. It would help improve what you're doing, but never ever leave it all to AI. Use it to improve so you can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
So for businesses, I would say, please don't use AI, don't weaponize AI, right? Basically from what they said, use it for good, and you can always use it to create wealth. And beyond that, always look at AI as a way to actually create value, especially from a global perspective. And because right now, as it is, there are a lot of gaps that companies, especially companies within Nigeria, that can actually fill from a global side. A very good example, for instance, would be AI chip making. There is a lot of disruption in that field. Again, this is just one, but there are many, right? So let's just think of best ways to create wealth and then create value from a global perspective.
Thank you so much. That's an awesome way to round up. So use AI, but think global. So thank you so much. Give our panel a round of applause. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. So we'll just rise, take a picture, and then get ready for the next session. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. This particular panel session was insightful.
AI and beyond.
Okay. So let's quickly, we have sort of an appreciation for our speakers because they've done wonderful job with enlightening us. I'm going to quickly call upon the partner at SBM Intelligence in the person of Ikemesis Effiong to come forward for the award presentation.
Managing partners, Bayo and
Yes.
Thank you very much, panel, for a very submissive and comprehensive treatment of the subject matter. I actually have plenty of questions. I'll meet you guys offline. Thank God I know all of you, right? To put those across. So just to kick off the presentations of this token appreciation for taking out the time to share of your wealth of experience and knowledge. Let me first call the vice chairman of my committee, to come and collect.
Okay, between 2002 and 3. I feel like if 2006 was still running, he was running his own piece. When did he go to his law school? Never just goes on the radar. These people, I know this guy in law school. What is law school purpose? Only fellow Yasha.
All right, the next panelist in the person of Victor would like to appreciate you.
Why?
This is how lawyers they shake, actually. That was very loud. That's a firm handshake. Right. Would also move to the next person. Would appreciating Rotimi Ogunyemi right now. Please, a round of applause. Oh, okay. All right. Yes. Okay. So he's a partner, Johnson and Winner, BOC Legal and former chair NBA SBL Technology Committee. All right. We appreciate you, sir. Please, a round of applause for him. And finally, the founder of ChatVey, in the person of Israel Latunji. He's actually a data scientist. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. So Would like to appreciate our wonderful moderator, the phenomenal Olubukola. Please let's put our hands together for her. She did a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you for those amazing questions. All right.
Okay. Yes, please. Let's have a
picture.
All right. Well, for the group picture, please, ladies and gentlemen, I want to quickly welcome the convener of this event, the founder of Legal Business Network, organizer of Legal Business Conference, in the person of Ifeoma Ben. Okay, she's specifically requesting for the committee members to join. You can take your pictures first, then the committee members can come up. Please, this is the beautiful woman organizing this event. Let's put our hands together for her. It's not easy. It's not easy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All the committees, please, if you're here, make your way out quickly. At Legal Business Conference, we smile a lot. Beautiful faces. Thank you. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. All right. I hope you guys are not tired of my face. Yes? No? Okay. So I have one more assignment to do here. For those of us who were here earlier, right, we listened to a very cerebral and a very timely keynote address from Dr. Falilat Jimoh, who's representing the Director General of NITDA. I believe she's still with us. We want to appreciate her and give her a plaque. Dr. Jimoh, if you are around, please, could you come up? Oh, yes. Please appreciate her as she comes up. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Jimoh has been very supportive. I know I had earlier on assigned my elbow chair here, IKW seats, to do this presentation, but I just want to appreciate her in a very special way. Despite her very busy schedule, she has always been very supportive. Even in 2022, when we invited the Director General of NITDA, who is in Abuja, who couldn't make it. So he delegated her to come, and she was also here. She graced us with her presence. And today she's here again to do us the honor of presenting the keynote speech. So we are so grateful, ma'am, for your kind gesture. And she's a very busy woman. And, you know, I don't know if you have gone through her profile. She's a technology personified, and we are glad to have her. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sure we learned a lot from that first panel session. You know, I told you from the beginning that we are actually armed with very, very profound and distinguished speakers who are captains of industries, especially, you know, in the legal field or legal landscape. And today we're learning a whole lot. Right about now, we're moving on to the second plenary session that is going to be talking about tech giants and the future of legal innovation, collaboration challenges, and opportunities. This particular panel session is made up of 5 speakers, 2 of which are present, I believe, and 3 who are going to be joining us online. I'm going to open up this plenary session by giving us sort of the foundation of what the conversation is going to be about. This panel session will delve into the role of the major technology companies in shaping the future of legal innovation. Discussion points will include collaborations between tech giants and legal industry stakeholders, challenges in implementing tech solutions within legal frameworks, and the opportunities for advancing access to justice and improving legal service delivery through technology partnerships. This session is also, and again, going to be moderated by a beautiful and phenomenal woman. I'm going to be giving us sort of an insight into who she is. She is a corporate lawyer with a background in intellectual property, entertainment law, corporate governance, and tech. She has an MBA with specialization in artificial intelligence from Nexford University and finished with a distinction. She was acknowledged as a thought leader in AI by the Global AI Hub and is involved in policy work regarding AI and criminal ability in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator is an associate at Punaka Attorney and Solicitors. Please, with a round of applause, join me to make a welcome to the seat, Sharon Jua. Let's put our hands together for her, please. Thank you. Our first panelist in this plenary session is a partner at K&C Partners, a tech-driven boutique law firm based in Lagos, Nigeria, with additional offices in Awka, Anambra State, and Abuja as a practicing legal practitioner. He holds an LLB from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, and LLM from the University of Lagos, and is a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators UK Nigeria branch. Ladies and gentlemen, please put together a round of applause for Kelechukwu Uzoka. Please let's put our hands together for him, please, as he makes his way to the seat. Our next speaker, who is physically present, is a leading figure in the emerging technology ecosystem in Africa. He is the tech lead for emerging technologies at spatial computing and AI at MTN. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause as we make welcome Babatunde Fatai. Okay, moving on to our speakers who will be joining this particular panel session online. I'm going to be reading their profile. Our first online speaker joining this panel session is a seasoned professional with a wealth of experience in various sectors. She possesses a master's degree in global development practice and MSc in computing, IT law, and management, a BSc in computer science, and over 17 years work experience. She has a broad spectrum of proven expertise in the development and implementation of strategies and policies. She currently works as government affairs lead at Microsoft, covering Nigeria and Africa emerging markets. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us celebrate by putting our hands together for Noye Ujam. She's going to be joining us online. The next online speaker joining this particular panel session is an attorney and counsel at Law Nigeria and New York, USA. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Legal Concierge, a firm that provides tech services and trainings to the legal industry, the convener of the Young Whigs Conference, founder of the Legal X app, president of the 40 Under 40 Alumni Leadership, and chairperson of the Nigerian Bar Association Digital Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us put our hands together for Inemesit DK. She's going to be joining online as well. Thank you. And finally, our final online speaker is a cloud technology evangelist whose background and expertise intersect with government to create inclusive and equitable solutions. He currently serves as a lead enterprise architect at Google and has over 18 years of experience in sales and delivery. He is none other than Jama Thomas. Let's put our hands together for him. He's going to be joining online as well. And that concludes the list of panelists for this particular panel session. Right now, I'm going to hand over to the beautiful and amazing Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's kind. Can we all hear me? Okay. All right, we have Inem, we have, I don't know if Nonya is still on the call. All right. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our session is really talking about tech giants and legal innovation. And going through, looking across the room, I can tell that we have a mix of lawyers, business owners, techpreneurs, and possibly regulators sitting here in the audience. Fun fact, the legal technology space or sector has been valued at, say, $17.2 billion US as at 2020. And it's on a trajectory to be valued at $30 billion US by 2026. So it's clear that as technology shapes the industries, it's very important for us to understand it and know how it impacts our businesses or our practice and, you know, kind of sets the tone or set the foundation or the policy around how tech can be used for good in our businesses. So today I'm going to start off with just ensuring that, I want to ensure that we're kind of on the same page. So this panel session, my objective is that we kind of discuss how tech giants influence the industry, especially the legal space. So what projects are they working on? What are the gaps, you know, that lawyers or business owners have to step in and kind of close? Then we're also going to be discussing access to justice. In the legal age, it seems as if everything has a new meaning, right? So we're going to discuss how this innovation is helping or improving access to justice. And then we'll go through challenges. You know, I know they discussed that in the first session, but I kind of want a mix of opinions from my panelists. And then we'll end with practical insights for various stakeholders. So my first question is to Kelechukwu. As a legal expert and tech enthusiast, how do you see the role of emerging technology evolving in the legal sector?
Thank you very much for the question. So when it comes to the role of emerging technology, especially in the legal sector, and in Nigeria, I'm trying to bring it very down home, it's growing and it's becoming acceptable, unlike what it was, say, 10, 15 years back. I can remember very much when I was writing my project in the university, my LLB project, because I was very, very internet savvy, and that was when Law Pavilion, you know, they were coming online with their law report, electronic law report. I cited a lot of Law Pavilion cases, you know, cases from Law Pavilion and the citations of my project. And then my lecturers were like, no, where's this one coming from? What's Law Pavilion electronic law reports? No, go and use the Federation Weekly Law Report or the Nigerian Weekly Law Report. We don't know about this electronic law report. We're not used to it. And this was like 15 years back. Coming down now to where we are, electronic law reporting is now the end thing. Almost every law reporting company are trying to go electronic. It's being accepted in our courts. It's being accepted everywhere. So you see that in Nigeria, technology has moved from the closed-mindedness, especially we lawyers, because I'm going to be talking from the legal sector. It has moved from that closed mindset. We are now open to it. We are now accepting it. we're now using it in our business of law practice.
Thank you so much. It's very important to note that when things are new or when we don't quite understand something, there tends to be some type of resistance to that change. So I noticed that you said that we've gone from shying away from it to kind of embracing it. All right, thank you. So Babatunde, I'm coming to you next. You you work at MTN. You are the technical lead, correct, for emerging technologies. So how exactly are you in your team leveraging on technological infrastructure to support initiatives, particularly in regions with limited access to legal services?
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I don't think I will be able to speak strictly to legal initiatives, but I'll speak to how we are leveraging technology and how probably people in Africa and the world are leveraging technology. So there are two things to it. If we speak to the benefits of the technology, and we can also speak to people that have limited access. For people that have limited access to infrastructure, probably they only have mobile phones, then it is necessary that you try to reach them through the means that they have available, right? Everybody talks about, let's use ChatGPT, for example, but you need to understand that it's the impact of ChatGPT in terms of how it helps you to probably do some of your own works. It is only because you have access to the internet and you have access to the right technology, right? So far, I've seen certain people, I would not speak strictly to my organization, but certain people that are trying to get this particular usefulness around generative AI to people that do not have access to internet. And how can you do that? Through SMS, right? So people that don't have access to internet still have, at least they have the minimum, which is they're able to send SMS. And I've at least worked on a solution where you are able to type your questions in an SMS, right? Sent to a certain code. When you send that question, your reply, which is made by a chatbot, is sent back through SMS. So at least you would need to think that at every point in time, yes, there's always a barrier when it comes to technology. But if you think about the people you are trying to target, then there is always a way you can reach them, right? And if we are talking about chatting with ChatGPT, for example, it could be a chatbot that is streamlined towards providing legal, I would not say legal advice, because at the end of the day, a real legal advice should come from a lawyer, not a chatbot. But at least people that don't have access to lawyers should still know certain rights that they hold, at least to be able to protect themselves until a lawyer gets there. One way that you can actually influence people that do not have access to internet is actually look for a way to get to them. For example, an SMS like way that I just mentioned. The other thing around how we are leveraging technology is two things. For an organization like mine, we are looking at two things: disruption internally and disruption externally. There is no organization that will say, I want to come and disrupt my customers with whatever new technology it is, AI, spatial computing, that would not first disrupt itself internally, right? So for spatial computing, and when I say spatial computing, I'm talking to, let's say, virtual reality, augmented reality. For that specific sort of technology, one way that we have been utilizing internally is around training, collaboration, right? So we have training, certain even entry processes go through like utilizing virtual reality technology, right? And for artificial intelligence also, we have upgraded many of our chatbots with AI, right? Before, I think a former speaker said, oh, you don't have to apply AI to everything, and that's true. But the fact also is there's a certain level of reasoning that comes with applying AI. If you were not applying AI, whatever, let's say RPA that you are using, robotic process automation, that RPA is only giving you the exact word for word, as you, let's say, put in a spreadsheet. If someone asks, how much is 5G? That RPA is only picking that exact word. Now, if you don't have that exact word, maybe the question is coined in a separate way. If it is not AI that is applied, then you'll not be able to give that answer. At least when you apply an AI chatbot, it reads through your answer that you want to provide to the customer. If that answer is not there verbatim, it is able to reason and recoin and give out. So to put it simply, the way we are at least using it is disruption internally and also trying to apply it to customers. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much. So I'm going to move over to Jamar. Jamar, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. So I'm curious to know, what are some key trends you've observed, in the legal tech space, particularly of how technology is reshaping service delivery models?
Yeah, that's a great question. And first off, good morning from Los Angeles. It's very early here, but excited to talk to you all. So I work in government, and so I'm going to try to stick to that, but also touch on how it applies to some of the legal spaces. And one of those is around courts. And if I think about courts, or even working with, say, public defenders' offices, one of the big things, and this is also consistent in other agencies such as Health and Human Services and labor, is just documents and document management. There are a vast amount of paper documents that are really hidden in some form of cabinet that may have been digitized and now it sits in some storage bucket or some document management system, but it's not providing any use, and it certainly has a whole bunch of important information. So when I think about, say, working with county courts, and some of you all may be aware that we've legalized, say, marijuana in many states, and so there's a campaign to kind of go through and especially for juveniles to kind of purge out those charges or convictions or what have you as a juvenile, so it's not on their permanent record affecting their livelihoods moving forward. And so being able to go through the what we call unstructured content and be able to find these marijuana charges, and it's not a simple find and replace. And currently, the way county agencies and the courts are actually going about doing this is very tedious. They actually have people opening up these images, these scanned images, and kind of going in and physically removing this information. And so using AI to be able to extract what we call at Google our document intelligence is to be able to make sense of what's in that document, find that relevant information, and then redact it automatically. And that applies to marijuana or any other sensitive information that might be in a document. So that's like one use case. And I had mentioned, say, public defenders, offices, many of the offices that I'm working with, they want to make data-driven decisions. And so, especially around recidivism, they're trying to identify trends that can kind of help determine why a certain individual is more likely to go back into the system versus not. And so they have a lot of information in their structured databases, which is great. But say prior to 2006 or whatever year, a lot of that information is still on these scanned images. And so there's a lot of data in there that they just don't have to be able to make these data-driven decisions. So again, using AI to be able to pull that information out and augment it with their case management system and their databases. Now they can make those data-driven decisions. And so when you think about AI, a lot of the focus has been on, these large language models. And, it's really exciting time that we're in now because there's just so much more that we can do. You think about Gemini 1.5 Pro, and that can now process over 1 million tokens of information. It's multimodal, so it has context across images. So think about not just the text in these documents, but particular images in these documents that we're processing within the legal system. Think about, video and video evidence that might be out there. So there's a lot of opportunities. I posted something on my LinkedIn recently. This is around the ability to provide Gemini, a 600-page IRS tax code, and then, giving it my W-2 or a W-2 that has salary information for the government, it's able to generate my tax return and identify a refund that I might have. And that's just a 600-page document. I mean, we can process much, much more. And so when I think about the legal domain, which again, I'm not in that space, but I can only imagine that there's just a bunch of, legal code and statutes and all of that stuff that all of these documents, when I watch a lot of, court shows and on TV, and Suits is one of my favorite shows, but it just seems like there's a lot of documents that you all have to pour through to be able to find precedences and everything else. And so, just being able to use AI for some of that stuff seems like a great use case.
Okay, thank you so much, Chamar. I took some notes from what you mentioned. Funny thing is, as he was speaking, I could actually relate to what he was saying, because I work in a law firm and we have to parse through, hundreds of pages. There's this particular transaction we're working on, and we needed to extract certain information, and this template itself was the document itself was, say, 80-something pages, and we needed it in an editable format. So the problem now becomes, how do we take it from text to an editable format, right? And someone on my team just started typing it out, and it didn't quite make sense to me to start typing an 80-page document, right? So we had to eventually use OCR, to extract the text from the images. And then I showed her, like, tech is not until you say ChatGPT. There are so many other apps, softwares, platforms that you can use to make your work, easy. I also note what Babatunde said about meeting people where they're at. That's kind of the next phase of our discussion. How many people in the entire population have access to functioning internet? How many people have access to, like, a functional smartphone and whatnot? So it's really important when coming up with innovation to be able to meet people where they're at. All right, so we're moving over to, unfortunately, 2 of my panelists have had to drop off. So now, Kelechukwu, this question is, moving on to you. How would you define access to justice in the context of today's digital age? And what are the key barriers that prevent equitable access for all individuals?
Okay, access to justice means where everyone, no matter where you are, your location, you can readily have access to lawyers, to courts, to mediation centers. That's generally what access to justice is. But in this age and time, where technology is playing a very, very big, very big in what we do, technology would help a lot in access to justice. And like what Babatunde said, you will have to meet people where they are. And when it comes to, getting them access to justice, when it comes to getting people, access to justice, we should know that, or try to understand the difference between someone in Lagos and someone in, say, Sokoto, Zamfara. Their access to justice can never be the same. In Lagos, for example, it's very easy because of the technological advancement and understanding here. In Lagos, it's very, very easy. Unlike someone, say, in Zamfara or somewhere in Akwa Ibom. I had a lecture with some LASSO students. It was on alternative dispute resolution, and I think it comes to bear here. One question that I was asked on, how do we get technology to people in these places where it's not easily accessible? And it relates to what Babatunde also said, that you have to meet them where they are. People who don't have smartphone, how do they get access to technology? How do you meet them in their own space? By creating chatbots that can give them these responses via text message. In 2025, there's a study that says in 2025, the access to smartphone in Nigeria is going to be hitting to about 130 million. But as at now, as at 2023 January, it's about 40-50 million. I think, I don't know, but about 30 to 40 million. So how do these people get access to justice? Sorry, I'm trying to get so how do these people get access to justice? So it's by meeting them at the point of their need with what is very, very, very what I say, particular to that locality. We're talking about having mediators. We're talking about having local mediators that would come from the community, trainings on how to use some of these technological devices, technological advancements, and also we lawyers upskilling and stuff like that.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to follow up on that and kind of press forward a little more. So what opportunities do you foresee in advancing access to justice and, for instance, making legal services more affordable to underserved communities?
So when we talk about making it affordable, this is where collaboration works with the big tech companies. And when we talk about tech companies, it's not, we shouldn't be looking at the open AIs and all. There's MTN there, which it's localized as a telecommunication network. These ones are like the low-hanging fruit that can help and assist, in getting access to justice to those who it's not readily available for. And mobile, like I said earlier, mobile first legal services in terms of having mobile applications where people can ask the, minutest of questions and get immediate answers before they have access to lawyers or access to experts. This would also help in access to technology and also having data-driven insights. It would help a lot in getting access to technology to a lot of people. The main thing here is collaboration. Collaboration is the main thing here. If there's a lot of collaboration, especially with the NBA, which is the umbrella body of lawyers, if there's a lot of collaboration, I think more of these things would get down to those who don't understand, those who need it, and those who don't have it.
Thank you. So you've mentioned how collaboration is, at the center. So Babatunde, you're the host of the XR Atlas podcast, correct? Where you discuss emerging technologies. So I would like to know your thoughts on this issue.
Thoughts on access to justice or what?
Yeah, opportunities, how we can use technology to, promote access to justice to underserved communities, make legal access more affordable and whatnot.
Well, I think there are two key things there. You keep mentioning affordability, and that's key. So there is inclusivity and affordability, right? So for us to give access to communities that do not have access, then the technologies need to be more accessible, right? I do not want to use the SMS accessibility anymore. But one other key way it needs to be accessible is it should be accessible in a way where the people you are targeting understands, right? We might be one Nigeria, but by the time you trek 1 mile, you will meet people that have a different understanding from you. The dialects that they speak is different. The language that they speak is different. So if we want more access, then we need to create more variations. OpenAI or Google Gemini is not going to make that variation for us. They are only going to make a global sort of variation. So they might say, oh, we now accept 100 languages. Like you can access like Gemini in 100 languages, but those languages will be global languages. At the end of the day, which of those languages is accessible to us? Just English. So if you want to improve access in your own ecosystem, then you need to start making sure you create large language models that speak in the dialect of your own people, right? So speaking in the dialect of your own people is not necessarily you train an AI as a whole, because before you train a model, as a whole, before you train a model there, it takes a lot of data. But there are a lot of open source models out there that you can leverage on, right? There is Facebook's Llama 2, right? And that was made open source. I think it was trained with, well, it depends on the variation, the one you decide to download. One place that you can access open source model from, for example, is Hugging Face. If you go to Hugging Face today, there are thousands of free models for you. So if this model is already open source, and let's say it was trained with 7 billion parameters, it means at least 7 billion sort of parameters went into training that model. It has a base level of understanding. Then you can take that and you can train that model to fit your particular use case, right? Or you can still leverage on the guys that are available for us, which is like OpenAI and co, by using their API that is available, right? There's something called retriever augmented generation. And retriever augmented generation basically means you supplying your own information to the base level GPT or base level LLM, and the information that comes out of that is something that stitches together what ChatGPT thinks plus what your information is, which is something unique. Currently, if you went to ChatGPT and you say, what is blah, 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 I don't know, maybe you mentioned your brand name. What is LLM law, whatever it is? It will only give you an answer based on all the information that it has been trained on, right? So if it has been trained on, let's say, the whole of the internet since 2012 or something, the information will come from there. But if you executed a RAG system, it's called a RAG system, then when you type what is LLM law or whatever it is, before that message gets to ChatGPT, it first goes to a vector database. That database contains your information. So let's say you have a company currently, and your company has been on for the last 10 years. You guys have been generating documents for the last 10 years, right? It is not proper for you to take all your documents. In fact, they are not going to answer you, and take it to ChatGPT and say, oh, guys, please train ChatGPT with these documents so that when next I ask ChatGPT, gives you a proper information. The best thing you can do is set up a RAG system. And what that RAG system does is, first, it does a semantic search on your own database. It goes to your database first before it goes to the AI. It goes to your database and it searches through your database, gets the relevant information about what you've asked. Then it takes that information to the chatbots, right? So whatever information you are getting out of your system at the end of the day is not something about that ChatGPT or the OpenAI trained ChatGPT on. The only use for ChatGPT in that regard is only to put it in an English or human sort of way, right? I don't know if that makes sense. So I was saying, for us to like actually give access to minority, it is two ways: affordability and inclusivity. And inclusivity could be getting them through like their means first, and secondly, making sure you downscale to their level of understanding. If it is broken English that you know that most of your clients speak, then your chatbot or whatever it is that you are doing should be aligned to broken English. There is no use taking a chatbot that speaks large grammar to clients that do not speak that. Now, let's speak to affordability. Right. So there are two things to affordability. The first one is gadgets, but I guess for AI, maybe we will not speak much of gadgets. But if it were for spatial computing, I would have spoken to gadget that an average person cannot afford a VR headset, then how would they get a VR headset, right? But let's speak strictly to AI. Affordability, currently, I would say it is slightly affordable if you were using a known model. Let's say OpenAI now. For every API call, I think they charge, well, depends on the token size though, but it's something like $0.0005, which is still much, but it's still small, to be honest. So it's slightly affordable. If you yourself want to create a chatbot for your own company, then using their AI chatbots is easy. It is very, very reasonable in terms of cost. The second thing also is for affordability is you could actually invest money into establishing your own model, right? So starting from a base open source model, training it or aligning it to what you need, then from there, the cost reduces, right? The main cost would actually be to get like GPU servers to train your model and align it. But after that, the cost is like sensible. So affordability, I think that addresses it. There are many models that are global now that are affordable, but you can also train yours to make it affordable and downscale it to your clients. And the second one is inclusivity, which is make sure whatever technology you are bringing to the client aligns to their tradition and culture. Thank you.
Extremely brilliant. Thank you. So this also takes me back to your comment saying that ChatGPT, for instance, does not substitute for legal advice, right? And it also tells you there's a disclaimer that please consult a legal practitioner, right? Because it is only as smart as the data it has now been exposed to. So before we move into challenges, the core of challenges, I'd like to go to Jamal. So Jamal, you have some experience in the public sector and you've been involved in designing solutions for government entities. So could you share some insights as to how, let's say, cloud technology or other emergent technologies are transforming the way governments approach legal services, regulation, and access to justice?
All right, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think I get the gist of the question. So yeah, we have we're talking about access, and I think this is really important. And one of the ways that I've seen us do this within government is, say, around our incarcerated. And so we've worked with the state of Michigan and the Department of Corrections. They have over 35,000 inmates, and giving them access to virtual instruction, certification programs, an electronic law library, and other documentation through our collaboration tools and also Google Classroom. So when I say collaboration tools, I'm talking about Google Workspace, Gmail, Meet, and Calendar, and these things to be able to really help set up these folks for faster job placement and also better paying jobs once they get out of the system. The other really cool thing that we have as part of that solution is as they're going through these certification programs and instruction, actually building a digital file of accreditations and paperwork and certifications, so they can have that when they go seek employment later on. So that's just one case. Another case, and we've done this in different aspects as well, but specifically around the criminal justice system. During the pandemic, it was difficult to go as a family member to go see your incarcerated individual because of the lockdowns, and it just wasn't safe because of COVID. And so we provided a virtual visitation program, again, leveraging our collaboration tools to be able to provide a very secure and compliant meeting infrastructure for the to meet, which is really important to maintain that level of care and in touch with your family. So those are some of the areas within government that we've used technology to really provide access, to education, to family, and to other aspects of life.
Thank you so much, Jamar. So now we've seen how, one issue means different things to different people in different spheres. So Casey, as the lawyer, has spoken as to what access to justice, affordability, inclusivity means, right, to a fellow legal practitioner. Baba has spoken as to what it means from the technological giants themselves. Well, you are building these processes, or you're putting the structure in place. And we've also heard about it from, the back end of the justice system. I call it the back end of the justice system. That's the public sector. Okay, so Casey, given your extensive experience in tech law and artificial intelligence, what are significant challenges? I won't limit you and say legal challenges per se, but what are challenges that businesses face when adopting AI technologies, and how can they navigate these challenges to drive innovation? At the last panel session, they made reference to the fact that data was the live wire of, AI. So the problems that I, off the top of my head, problems that I see with this are AI bias, right? I can only advise you based off the data I have been fed, for instance. So Casey, can you elaborate on that?
So as a lawyer and speaking from the legal perspective, there's been significant legal challenges faced by AI technology, trying to adopt this. During the first section, they talked about data privacy and security concerns. It's one of the key challenges because this artificial intelligence system and technologies, they are open to hack. So you don't know the data you're giving out there. Someone might just try to get into the system, open it up and share that data where it's very, very accessible. I know that there are a lot of regulations, the data protection law here in Nigeria, the GDPR and the CCP and other data protection laws, that are out there to ensure that these data privacy and security challenges are being addressed. Then the issue of the bias by this system, the algorithm bias, because these systems are the technology or the training, it's being put by someone. And most times these people take the trainer or the programmer or coder, impute his or her individual bias into this technology or artificial intelligence system. And this is the information that's going to feed out when you try to use it. And how we look at things like risk management, when AI systems are being involved in decision making, especially decision that affects people's life. Now we have AI judges. We have AI judges, we have AI courts. Now you're leaving the decision affecting people's life to technology. How are all these things checked? How do we reduce the risks of whatever judgment, whatever information that's going to come out from it? And there's also the intellectual property and data right concerns, which was also discussed in the first section. Who owns the IP rights and and stuff like this. So in order to tackle these challenges, there are some recommendations that will give, establishing things like proper AI governance structure, strengthening the laws, meeting policymakers so that we can develop proper policy framework on the use of this technology and artificial intelligence, and also for the technology companies to invest more in testing these tools to make sure that they are up to standard, because these technologies, these are things that develop day to day. What you wake up to today might not be what is going to be there tomorrow. So they need to be rigorous testing to make sure that they pass a certain kind of threshold where these technologies will be very, very safe to use, both for the organization that is the technological company and also the person who is using this technology.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Casey. So we've heard from the legal perspective. I'm going to shift over to Baba to tell us his point of view from kind of the operational or business background. You can speak to data security, compliance, scalability. What challenges? What challenges would you say you've encountered, right, with the adoption of emerging technologies?
Okay. For the adoption of emerging technologies, there are two major challenges that I can put my hands on now. The first is lack of knowledge, which leads to slow rate of adoption or even abuse, right? And the second one is actually infrastructure, and which can also be like funding, right? So let's deal with lack of knowledge. So it is very hard for people to be honest, I don't want to speak to, if I'm being sincere, I don't want to speak to data privacy again. Everybody touches data privacy and how AI consumes data, and they've used your data to train the AI, and Google has all your data. You can do data privacy from today to tomorrow. They already have it, and they've trained their AI with it. So how do we move on from there? It's not about, maybe you can have more data privacy, but come on. Like Gemini that is currently live online, you might not have the most detailed detail of your company, but if you still type your company there, it will still give you information, right? And you can, except if you want to host your website in your bedroom or something, at the end of the day, people will still find your website on Google, right? Where did Google train where did Google get the information to train their AI from, right? So I don't want to touch much on data privacy. I'll just speak more on practicality, right? The things that are actually like drawing back adoption or drawing back we adopting the technology. And the first one, like I said, is lack of knowledge, right? So people are very reluctant to adopt what they do not understand, right? And people also abuse what they do not understand. So for example, I think, I hope that most people here understands that the average generative AI or the average GPT hallucinates, right? And what hallucination means is that it can give you information that is factually incorrect, but it would place it or structure it in a way where you would think it is correct, right? So if the average generative AI hallucinates and the average human that is supposed to use it does not know, then you will just start copying and pasting, right? So that is why it is very important, for example, if you want to utilize a generative AI, to provide context and have a good, what do they call it, prompting game with your, like have an awesome prompting game. For example, if you told ChatGPT before you began, you tell it, if you do not know, say no, right? From beginning, you have to tell it that. If not, it would cook something for you and you are going to eat what it cooked, right? To be honest, right? So in adoption, I think lack of knowledge. If people do not know, then they cannot adopt. And I can speak strongly in this regard, not to AI alone, but to spatial computing, let's say virtual reality, right? Whenever we bring a virtual reality headset and we tell people, oh, this can help you maybe empathize more with your clients. When you put it on, you can train. Like people do not understand it, right? So that is why we try to make it more practical so they understand it. So for adoption, I think lack of knowledge, which also leads to abuse, right? So one key thing that we can do towards solving that is actually making sure to educate the people that will use the technology, to educate them appropriately. And if you do not educate them appropriately, then you should deal with the consequence of a person not well educated utilizing a technology that is very powerful. As much as we are Africans and we will say this LLM is just a machine and it is not a human being, I can tell you for free that it is more brilliant than all of us, right? So if you want to use something that is more brilliant than you, I'm not saying you have to be more brilliant than it, but you should, they say with great power comes great responsibility. So you need to be more sensible in your usage, right? The second thing that I think stifles adoption is infrastructure and policies, right? For infrastructure, it actually takes a lot for one to train an AI model, like a hell of a lot. In fact, you would be surprised that from the current way in which LLMs are trained, that they are very brilliant, is not actually a new way, right? They just found out that they needed to add more computing power to what they were doing. At the end of the day, the way that the current GPTs are being trained, let's say Gemini or ChatGPT, I hate using ChatGPT because I don't even use it that much anymore. I prefer using Gemini or Claude AI, right? So the thing is, for infrastructure, they actually found out that the same ways that they've been thinking about it for years in terms of getting to such a model is actually the way that still applies. But what they were missing was the amount of computing power. So it takes a hell of a lot of money to actually train a model. That is why many times when I see people say, we are Nigerians, you guys just go and train your own model and be careful of open source models. I would just say, if you knew the amount, you would chill and say, it's better to use like an open source model that has been trained on a lot, then you just leverage on that, right? So lastly, speaking to policy and how governments can assist in this regard, right? I think policy is very important. And one thing I've noticed from the speeches given so far here is the fact that almost all of you are lawyers, right? You are legal sensitive, right? And legal sensitivity is inversely proportional to innovation, from my view, right? If you are too legal sensitive, you are not going to push towards innovation. There is no doubt, there is not much law around how we manage AI. There's not much law around how we pass our information to AI. Hence, you should not use it. Now, you have to use it because if you stop using or if you are too sensitive, then you are not going to have a breakthrough, right? So how the government can help? I think the government can think more. I think the Minister of Innovation, Digital Economy is actually doing a lot right now. I think there's actually an AI sort of conference going on now, and I do hope that it's going in the right direction, right? But if the government can be more open to things like maybe subsidizing new AI startups, for example, right? You already know that for a person to say, oh, I want to create an AI company, we already know that a lot of money needs to go into it. If the government subsidizes that, then I think we would have a lot of innovation in the ecosystem. So we need policies that actually like aligns to maybe subsidization. I don't want to speak to policies around data or whatever it is, right? Or policies that speak to subsidization, politics that speaks to people that influences people to actually want to try out new things. I think that's it for me. I don't know if that touches.
All right, thank you. When you said hey, AI hallucinates, I could not relate to that any less, because I know that of course working in a law firm, sometimes you have to know where to find the law, so you might want to use it as a guide. But as they mentioned in the last panel, you can't leave everything to AI, right? Because it would, with its full chest and the utmost audacity, quote something that is fake, give you background, explain that fake thing, and even, okay, so example, we're working on this opinion, we couldn't find the guidelines exactly. So someone in the team now asked, okay, this is the question the client has asked, what are your thoughts? And ChatGPT manufactured the public servants code of conduct guideline. And it went on to say that this guideline was established by so and so. It is put in place to ensure that public servants, have a code of conduct and ethics they are held accountable to. And that furthermore, section 26, I can never forget, section 26 states, and it lists the excerpts, And I'm like, no, I've done research. I didn't come across this. So let's fact check. And when we all did our fact checking, nobody saw this thing. Even section 26 that I was quoting, we couldn't find it. So and I asked her, asked ChatGPT, is this information accurate? And to my wildest surprise, ChatGPT apologizes and says, oh, my bad, I apologize. This is the accurate information. So it leaves that section 26 and then quotes section 28. So the next question is, does this law exist? And ChatGPT says no. So, I'm at a loss. And so I really appreciated when at the last panel, someone said that you have to use co-intelligence, right? You can't leave your human brain or, sentiments and whatnot and rely solely on ChatGPT. One of the downsides, which is why a lot of offices and companies must come up with their own policies for using AI or adopting AI, is that there seems to be like a really high dependence on AI, reduced creativity, because you're like, why stress myself when ChatGPT can do this for me in 2 seconds? I know you said you prefer Gemini. Okay.
May I come in for a bit?
Okay.
So the point is not relying that much on AI.
Mhm.
I think you can rely to a large extent on AI to even create documents completely for you. I think it is the way that you use it that is very important. So my advice to you, if you have like a company like yours now, you've given various examples where I would just advise that you guys create your own excerpts of still dependent on ChatGPT, but you can create something that would be more grounded and more aligned, right? You can utilize the ChatGPT API. Happy to lend you my knowledge on that. But the point is, if you already have legal documents, for example, Nigeria has all our legal laws and frameworks, whatever it is, all of that can be consumed by an AI under 5 seconds, right? You can use that always as your basis. When I say use it, I don't mean you would actually go to the page and copy and paste, but you can always make sure the AI does not answer anything outside of your base information that you have available, right? So I envision a day, and I know that day is coming, that we are going to rely on it a lot, let's say up to 80%. And people that are saying, oh, make sure you don't use AI completely and you check AI's work. Do you know why many people do not even cross-check AI's work? Because by the time it brings out the answer, the English it puts it in, you know that if you went and wrote it yourself, you are not going to. So how are you cross-checking AI's work? So the best way for you is actually make sure you realign and make sure like whatever it is that is giving you the answer, you make sure you do your basis in terms of engineering it to an extent where you are able to trust its answers, right? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. If we stay 1 minute longer, they will literally kick us off the stage. So I want to thank you for the insights, all my panelists. And I thank you, the audience, for being engaged. So in conclusion, I urge us all to stay curious, embrace change, and work together to harness the power of technology. Thank you.
All right, without wasting further time, I want to quickly call upon Ikemesis Effiong, partner SBM Intelligence, to come and help us with award presentations for our speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please, a round of applause for Jama Thomas, who joined us online. He gave us his time today. Babatunde as well, please, a round of applause for him, as well as Kelechukwu. Thank you so much for coming. Ikemesis Effiong, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you, sir. Yes, please. Yeah, please, you can come forward. Thank you.
Okay, I want to thank you very much for that very exhaustive and really profound panel. I was just thinking while I was sitting down there, just on a lighter note, that I was going to present all of you plaques, and I was going to we have to figure out how to get Jamal his own plaque. Maybe we'll do an AI impression of the plaque and just send it across to him as a token. But honestly, on behalf of the Legal Business Network and on behalf of the Technology Committee of the MBA-SBL, really want to appreciate you for taking out the time to share of your expertise, to share of your experience, and to share of your knowledge with us. All right? Did we all enjoy that panel? We did? Can we appreciate them once again? Thank you very much. So.
Okay, our first panelist, we're thanking Kelechukwu Uzoka. Please, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. A round of applause for him. And smile to the camera. Next, we are saying a very big thank you to Babatunde Fatai. Thank you so much for coming. You can wait behind for a group picture. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just by having MTN attached to your name, I'm so sure I'm going to have about free data. I'm so excited. Finally, moderator, the beautiful Sharon Jua. Thank you so much for coming. You have a plug for yourself. Thank you for initiating those amazing questions. All right. You may now take a group picture, all of you. Thank you. A group picture. Thank you. Our convener. And all committee members, please make your way forward quickly. Thank you. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause as they make their way off the stage. Thank you so much. Right about now, we're going to be having a very brief presentation by DigitLaw. We have Afolabi here, and DigitLaw is a practice management software for lawyers. He's going to be telling us a lot more about DigitLaw. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Afolabi. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate the organizers of this event. I think we need more of this within the legal space because everything involving human life itself requires legal, both private and public life of ours. So basically, DigitLaw is a practice management software. We are product specific in the sense that basically we focused on what matters for lawyers in respect to managing your clients and your cases, while we leave the other core part in respect to how you want to ensure that the cases you win the cases in court and every other thing that has to do with your clients. But basically, in managing your cases and every other thing that has to do with your practice, DigitLaw is there to help you. So, basically, like I said, it's a practice management software. We know we have more of these platforms out there that helps lawyers in managing how they manage their operations, from their reporting to their cases. But DigitLaw is platform specific in the sense that we are focused on what matters, which is how do you ensure that your client, they're happy with your services, they're happy with your relationship, they're happy with everything you do for them. So DigitLaw helps to give the best of the best in respect to managing your cases, in respect to billing your clients, in respect to ensuring that your lawyers within law firm, they're performing at the utmost level. So looking at the key features of the software, you know that this software itself is what every law firm, every lawyer, what you need to ensure that you compete very well within the legal space. So these are just few of the key features of the software. Looking at this, so we have case and client management in the sense that it helps you in managing your cases and managing your client. It's easier with this software for you to attach a case to a client and then manage everything that has to do with the client itself. from the client portal, meaning that the software helps you to relate with the client without you calling the client or you sending a mail to the client or you texting the client. With the software itself, there is an update automatically, meaning that if, for instance, there is an update in court and then you need to provide an update to your client, you don't necessarily need to call the client or need to send an email. From the portal itself, you can relate to the client to say, this is an update. The client just goes to his portal. There's an update saying that there's a notification saying that you need to check for an update from your the law firm itself. Either you want the client to share some documents with you, the software helps this client to share documents with you via a secure platform, or you want to build the client itself. It helps you to raise invoices. The client says, oh, you've done X and X for me and it's completed. So the software itself is easier for you to also build the client. You relate to the client easily and it's very secure. Other feature that within the client portal is the time tracking feature, meaning that with this software itself, you can track all your time you spend with the client. Either you want to build them hourly, or you want to track it hourly, or you want to track it based on the number of times you spend with the client. And it helps you to manage efficiency. I've spent a lot of time with this client itself. Does it really matter? Do I need to continue with this client, or I just need to let the client go? So also we talk about conflict check. Within this client's portal, within this client management feature, it helps you to know if there is an existing conflict between the client that you have and a potential client. For instance, now you're working with a client and then the next client that is coming on board has a conflicting interest with the existing client. The software tells you that, oh, you have a client that has a conflicting interest with this new client you want to take. So it's easier with that. And also, like I said, the software also helps you in managing the document, meaning that every document that has to do with a particular case, from judgment, from some document itself, it's easier for you to associate each of the documents with the client. You don't, with this software, you can't mix one document for another. You can't mix the document for client A with client B. It's easier with that. And the other feature is, I know that for every case that you do, definitely, you also want to ensure that you get your money. So the software enables you to build and then get your money from the client, from client invoicing, meaning that you can have a customized invoice, or you can use the invoice within the software. And also, we talked about expense management itself under this software, this feature. Expense management in the sense that it helps you to manage expenses on the part of the client and also on the part of the firm, meaning that I can raise an expense for my client. I need to sign some documents in the court for this particular client. The software helps you to differentiate between the expenses you raise on behalf of the client and also the ones you raise on behalf of your law firm. Maybe there's some expenses that has to do with foiling, that has to do with transport, that has to do with other stuff that you've incurred on behalf of your law firm, and then you want them to pay you back. So the software helps you to do all of that. And also we talk about billing options, meaning that you can bill your client using different options. You can bill your client on hourly rate. You can bill your client on contingency. You can contingency in the sense that I do this case for you. I'm not sure if you're going to win or not, meaning that if I should win this case, I'm going to get this X and X percentage from whatever judgment that has been passed. And also you can build them on flat rates. Maybe with this client, this is a client that is ours. We have to build them on the client. I need to help you do this business registration. I'll charge you 200,000, 100,000. You can build them on a flat rate. And also other key features of this software is the accounting feature. We have the robust accounting feature, meaning that it helps you for a comprehensive reporting to know how the cases are coming in, which of the lawyers is bringing more of the cases, which cases itself is, which of your clients is giving you the highest revenue, how long are you spending on each cases. You can do the entire reporting with this software. And also it helps you with auditing to know how the firm is faring, how you're doing as a law firm. Do we need to continue with particular case or not? So you can do a thorough auditing with this particular software. And also you can also use this software for your budgeting, meaning that you don't need an external accounting software to do your budgeting for a whole year, from your revenue to expenses. You can use this software to do all of that. And other key important feature is that it helps in team management. Team management in the sense that you need to know how your lawyers are performing. You need to know, do we need to expand the number of lawyers we have in this law firm? You also need to know what each lawyer is doing and how efficient they're doing. It also makes you to also plan if there's going to be a training and the likes for them. So the software helps you to know the performance of each of your lawyer and that. So beyond that, the next question I want to ask is why do I even need to use this software? Why do I need to use this software? Why you need this software is that this software itself helps, like I said, it's partner specific. It helps you in managing your parties while you focus on what matters with the case. And also, the software itself, there is a free trial, meaning that you don't have to pay at a go. You have to check if it's something that aligns with your law firm's goal. That's on that future. And currently, we are currently running a 40% discount, meaning that you can have access to this software and enjoy 40% discount for a year. We charge monthly, but again, if you want to subscribe to the 40% discount, we can offer you that discount for a whole year. And the beauty about this software is that it's available on mobile and web, meaning that you can access the software anywhere, anytime. If there is a court update, a progress note, you don't have to get to your office to sit on your system for you to update that. You can always do that on your phone. It's available on mobile. And the other beauty of this software is that once you subscribe to this software, you have a dedicated support staff that is attached to your law firm to help you. That is all that makes it easier. So we are available outside if you want to make more inquiry, you want to make more findings about how this software works. We are always available, and be rest assured that we are not just going to give you the software to use on your own. There's going to be a demo section that will help your team to understand how the software operates. And the beauty of the software is that it's customizable. And customizable in the sense that both you have your logo, you have everything that has to do with your law firm. The software is currently being used by both public and private sector. I mean, state governments are using this software. So we would advise and then encourage our people seated here to please give it a try, because again, the law firm, the legal sector itself is transforming. Looking at the theme of this section itself has to do with AI. So we're also going and developing within that line. So we encourage you guys to please give it a try. Thank you so much.
All right, is one thing to practice law, and then is another thing to make sure that the processes are simplified. And I believe that is what DigiSlaw have done. Technology, they say, has made our life easier. So I implore you, once you step outside of here, by the end of this conference, you will find the exhibition stand outside. For further questions, inquiries, I would like you to engage Afolabi to understand more, and then possibly make payments. I would have to generate my own affiliate link so that you use me and subscribe. All right, that's just by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, we've actually arrived at the third and final plenary session. There is law practice, and then there's profitable law practice. We've heard a lot about AI, about technology, about what's that line? Innovating, yes, innovating for law and then business. But then one important factor to be considered is the profitability of practicing law. And that is why the popular saying goes, the best is always reserved for the last. This particular panel session is made up of giants, I can see. By me looking at their pictures here, they are well suited, their suits well ironed, even more than mine. That's to tell you how powerful they are. Ladies and gentlemen, this particular session is going to touch on tech strategies for profitable law practice, enhancing efficiency and revenue. Let me give you a little bit of background as we prepare our minds, all right, to receive and learn from this final session. This session will focus on practical ways that lawyers can leverage technology to enhance various aspects of their practice, such as streamlining workflows, improving client communication and satisfaction, implementing effective marketing and business development strategies, and optimizing billing and revenue generation processes. Panelists will share insights, case studies, and best practices for harnessing technology to build a successful and profitable law practice in today's digital age. The moderator for this panel session is a distinguished transaction lawyer, regularly consulted by multinational companies and top government agencies. He was closely involved in acting for the first mobile telephone service in the country and advises major foreign airlines operating in Nigeria. He has extensive experience in commercial transactions spanning arbitration and other ADR methods, aviation, building and construction, banking and finance, energy, as well as natural resources. He is the principal partner at George Etomi and Partners. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if our hands are not tired, let's celebrate our hands together for our moderator for this session in the person of George Etomi. You're welcome, sir. Please make your way up, sir. Thank you. All right, our first panelist is the managing partner of Duale, Ovia, and Alex Adipe. Sorry, Alex Adedipe. Oh. He leads the banking and finance, telecommunications, media, and technology practices at the firm. He specializes and has a depth of experience in telecommunication, media, and technology, banking and finance, capital resources, and other corporate commercial practice areas. He's going to actually forgive me. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the managing partner, Duale, Ovia, and Alex Adedipe. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together for Mr. Adeleke Alex Adedipe as he makes his way to the stand. Please, a round of applause until he gets here. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Our next panelist is the principal partner of Abilegal Barristers and Solicitors and founder of Digital Lawyers Network, a community of about 4,000 digitally savvy lawyers across the world. She's a business lawyer and a digital law practice consultant who helps lawyers leverage the internet and social media to build profitable legal practice. Ladies and gentlemen, she's the principal partner, Abilegal, and founder of Digital Lawyers Network. A round of applause for Abimo Toyosi Olayola. You're welcome. Thank you. Like I said, maybe by the end of this conference, I'll receive a lot of tickets for mispronouncing names, but I believe they'll be able to forgive me. Our next panelist is a Nigerian lawyer of nearly 2 decades post-Cal legal standing, with multifaceted experience spanning law firm and in-house general counsel roles in various sectors, including telecommunications law and regulation, mergers and acquisitions, oil and gas, dispute resolution, and banking. He is a partner at Kenna Partners. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for Okechukwu. You're welcome, sir. And finally, last but not the least, the last panelist to make up this panel session is a foremost legal tech expert and IT consultant. He's passionate about legal technologies and the acceleration of access to justice in Africa. He is the managing director of Law Pavilion Business Solutions, an organization that pioneered the growth and adoption of legal technologies, which is legal tech in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's put our hands together for Mr. Okpe Olugasa as he makes his way to the seats. And like I mentioned, this panel session is going to touch on tech strategies for profitable law practice, enhancing efficiency and revenue. I would hand over to the amazing moderator in the person of Judge Etomi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And welcome to the last session. We have about an hour. Perhaps we can even do this before then. This is the most practical aspect of the reason we're here. You've heard so much about what AI can do, how it's going to displace humans at work, how it's going to assist your work. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't hit your pocket, you're not here for a good reason. So how do all these advancements in technology hit your pocket? Let me thank the Business Law Network. IFOM has been doing a yeoman's job putting conferences. I call these boutique conferences because they just go to what you specifically need, as opposed to these large size conferences where you can at times get lost in the crowd. So you must pay attention to what these experts are going to be telling you about how AI can assist your legal practice. Just as a little bit of a background, I will be 47 years at the bar this year, July. And when I started practice with Chris Ogubanjo, the famous Chris Ogubanjo, who just passed at almost 100 years. Always proud of my heritage. And one of the things Chris Ogubanjo was known for was a turnaround time when it came to doing work. And at that time, was doing loads of work for NIDB, in fact, the first round of privatization, indigenization had started. So he was a foremost commercial law practitioner. Everybody came to him. It was so key at that time to get a typist because we did, everything was done by a typewriter. So you invested in that typist who could, just twang and go away. And when you are typing volumes of documents, you better not make a mistake. Because if you make a mistake at a poor point, you start all over. And trust me, in my time, there were no photocopiers. There were no photocopy machines. So most of these documents had to be typed out in several originals. So the investment then was in human beings. That's typist. And Chris Ogubanjo invested in those typists. So for those of us who now went to work there, we were simply superstars because I was there, Udoma was there, at some point, Aswe Godalo, so you can see the trail. I like giving you young ones historical perspective to law practice. So you know that this journey is real and you can always build on what we've done. So this was what we met. And like I said, at that time, we thought we had hit the peak of what commercial law practice could be. Where else could you go to? So we kept that way. And then the IBM typewriter, memory typewriter showed up. And you could type and it could capture a memory of like 3 or 4 paragraphs. You edit what you needed to edit, and then you continue. So we saw the first sign of an attempt to display those very proud and cocky typists that we had. And it was like a joke. Then next stage, we got to the Wang. This was the massive, you could bring this word processor to fill a whole room at that time. And I went to see a demonstration, and it was incredible. It was like a thin line between being brilliant and being a crook. This thing can change something and it can alter, and it was like a joke. So Dom and I were very excited. So we went to Chief to say, Chief, look, technology, there's something new that has come. It will do whatever. So we arranged the demo in our office, in our conference room. And it came, big machine, it filled up the whole place. And then the word processor cranked into life and did that and was correcting and all that. Chief was very impressed. Chief was highly techy, was very impressed. But after we left, apparently, first of all, the typists didn't like it. Then Chief had a cousin about his age in the practice at that time. Apparently, after we left, he went to Chief, said, you better be careful of those young boys. Better be careful. Can you see what they're doing? It can type, you can erase before you know they will take your practice. So this was So we didn't implement it by the time I left, but I advised myself that this was the way to go. So as soon as I left and opened up what was then George Etomi & Co., the first thing I invested in was the word processing machines. By that time, they had started becoming smaller. But I still got a typist because human beings, we were doubting. The machine is there, but it's still human being. We still needed somebody there. And at that time, the foremost banks too were those who invested in these fast typewriters, these guys, typists and go. And I still remember this young man who was typing. He was good, he was well-dressed, very arrogant. The lawyers had to beg him for their papers. I don't know. So I told him, I said, John, you know, you need to go and transit because these machines are coming. It looks like they will displace. Now, God, don't mind those things. They're just wonders of the season. They will just go away. And I said, John, it's for real. Now, there was this firm called Aptech. I think they're still around. They then started the initial training for professionals. So what firms like us did was we got new lawyers coming in and sent them to Aptech to go and learn how to control their work. And by the time many of them were done, John had no more job. And it was a very emotional pattern we had with John. And the reason I'm telling you this story is that technological advances are so real. The resistance to it can be detrimental. And during this era that we're talking was when the banking sector was opened up in Nigeria. And we had the first rush of banks, and we needed to do documentation for so many of them. When it came to our firm, because we had invested in this technology, the turnaround was so easy. Not only did we finish in good time, they actually pulled work from other firms and gave to us to turn around. So when some firms enjoy a reputation for excellent work, it's because they saw the future and embraced the future. And just one more historical fact I'll give to you. Your NBA is a problem. Because, you know, we have these rules of professionals. You cannot advertise, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. I remember around the same era too, the first onset of digital advertisements was showing up. And what we then did was we invested in a website, and then we got a visit from the NBA accusing us of advertising and threatening to take us to the LPDC. I said, are you guys for real? The things you take for granted today were a big problem. So not only were you fighting yourself to innovate, you were fighting a system. And I'm sure these tech gurus here will know. So those are the things, those are the resistance. But so for those of you who are lucky to be here, just know that AI is as real as it comes. I don't know why they call it AI. It's actually human. It's actually human intelligence that has been technology. Yes, I don't know why they call it. It's nothing artificial about it. It is really real and all that, because whatever you put in is what you put out. So the human brain, as the original content provider, you can never do away with. But AI is real. So how can you then deploy it to make sure that you can cope with the modern world? You see, for many of you here, I'm sure many of you are aspiring to build your practices, do whatever you need to do. But the truth is that at times when you see the journey undertaken by some of the most advanced firms and co, you begin to wonder, where do I start? How long will this journey take me? And when am I going to get there? And at times, the thought of it alone can be discouragement. But thankfully, what AI is doing for you people is that it is giving you the opportunity to leapfrog several stages that some of these firms have undergone. In fact, for many of these firms, it's a question of adaptation. So they still are going to be going back, and I'm sure Law Pavilion, all the times you go, you are telling people and convincing them that we can retrofit you into the AI world. But for you guys, you take off. It's like a vertical takeoff. And in very short time, you can actually, your output can be as rich as the established firms. And you get paid for it. So, I mean, people still talk about big offices. Yes, it's nice to have big offices, but you really, really, really don't need those massive edifices anymore to produce optimally. So on that note, I want to throw some questions out, which I've already given to some of our panelists, so that we can begin to help you practicalize how you can make money. Adeleke Alex Adedipe, DOA, I'm sure he's been introduced to you. These are some of the brightest stars you can think of. So listen to them. And my first question to you, Adeleke, is, in your experience, what are some of the most effective tech strategies that law firms can implement to streamline their workflows, improve client communication, and ultimately increase profitability? As I told you, that's the bottom line. So, shoot.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Let me tell you, we won't pay you for today's advice.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Sir George. Is the leader of the park in the industry. So if you follow us, our activities in SBL, you understand why he's an authority, and also why we all listen to him. I mean, he's just said now that it's going to be 47 years at the bar in July. And I just thought to myself that, thank God I'm still a baby lawyer. I honestly think so. But I mean, with 47 years, you'd have experienced a whole lot, right? And when I say a whole lot, I sometimes say to myself that I think that I've experienced a lot. Sometimes when I see some old gadgets, I just wonder how we survived using those things, right? And that completely explains to you what life is all about. And life, when I say life, I mean the dynamism of life, the change that is associated with human living. And law cannot be separated from that part of our existence, right? So having said that, I think the core conversation of today is, what do I do to make money? Let's just break it down, right? Profitability is the bedrock of why you own a practice. I don't think that anybody sets up their business to say that, oh, this is a CSR project, right? Everybody, as much as some of us take pro bono services, we have to be profitable to be able to finance those pro bono activities. So profitability is essentially very key. So there are ways that law firms can actually put together data points, metrics, and things to ensure that there is profitability, right? And that technology also in itself would help you to be able to make some of those analyses, right? And I'll just give a couple of examples of how you can use certain tools. So today, in any proper law firm, and when I say proper law firm, without disrespect to either an upgrowing or when I say proper law firm, I mean a proper law firm where almost everything exists, right? At least most of the things exist. You must be able to account for your hours as a lawyer, right? So you're not going to get to the office and sit in front of a computer and then you're spending tons of hours just reading what's on Facebook or Twitter, right? Those things are important. They're good for your mental health, right? But at the same time, it is also important that you understand the basis for your existence in that organization, right? So there's something called billable hours, right? So you're talking about, that is basically saying, these are my billable hours, right? But again, how do I utilize these billable hours? So there's got to be a way that I can calculate what is called utilization rate, my utilization rate as a lawyer. And how do I calculate my utilization rate? It's basically saying that the number of my billable hours divided by the number of hours that I'm supposed to work that day. That is how you can define and say to yourself that I've been able to utilize myself, and this is my utility rate. So there's got to be ways that you can build technology that can help you to figure those things out. And they're embedded in a lot of technologies that we have sitting today. There's also realization rates. How much can I realize from that my utilization rate, right? That also, the technology exists, right? For you to be able to build and define yourself out of what have I been able to realize today as a lawyer that works in this organization. Because again, let's not forget, like we said earlier, it's all about the money. It's about the profitability, right? And now after I've realized those hours, right? And I've made the effort to do the work, right? How much of it have I been able to collect as a lawyer, right? Because the truth of the matter is one thing to do the work, is another thing to collect the money. And particularly in this climate, it's a lot difficult to collect the money, right? I've worked for firms out of the country. If I don't pay early, or if I have a Nigerian client that's meant to pay that doesn't pay, they start to send you all sorts of emails, and next thing they pass it on to a debt collection agency, right? So there's a process for them. But Nigeria, I'm not sure I've seen many lawyers who have managed to sue their clients for not paying fees, right? Again, it's a bit of a cultural thing, but we have to try as much as possible to ensure that there is a process that allows you to collect that. Now, once you've done that, there's got to be a way, right? And that technology, again, all sorts of tools, artificial intelligence tools, all sorts of tools that can help you to be able to ensure that your billing system is automated, right? Your invoicing system is automated, right? Your communication, even the manner in which those invoices are also sent out to clients are often automated with personalized messages, basically referencing. And those things are then captured back in on your accounting processes, right? So technology has come to make lives just easier, right? So the days are gone when lawyers need to start to do what I term as manual labor, because I think that those things are a bit manual labor. You see lawyers spending 3 out of 8 working hours doing invoicing and doing accounting and doing, it really shouldn't be so, right? So there is the fear and the reality, like my leader here said, right? He has said it all. You can't escape technology. There's nothing you can do about it. It's come to stay, right? I was reading some documents recently and talking about digitization of data, right? And that as far back as 1980, there was only 4% digitization of data globally. In 2004, it was 90-something%. By 2014 was 90-something%. By 2021 or so, it had gone up to 99%. If anybody had tried to stop that process, it was going to be a brick wall. So the reality is, as lawyers, we have to find tools and processes that will make us a lot more efficient, right? Whether it's in communicating with clients or whether it is in billing, making our billing processes a lot more efficient. But it's essential that we continue to build our businesses in ways that we are extremely profitable. I think I can just pause here for a second.
You talked about tools, and I'm going to bring you in here, where tools and systems that can make you more efficient. So looking ahead, what are the emerging trends, the technologies you believe can revolutionize the legal industry to make output efficient? I know you have the Law Pavilion Prime. I'm not trying to advertise for you. You can freely do so. But let us know, just hands down, how do we become more efficient before we get to that stage where we can build?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Number one, let me start from the Law Pavilion Prime, which I'm sure most of us know about. That's the one that helps us in our legal research. And then I'll go briefly to AI, especially as it applies to us in Nigerian clients. So first of all, a number of times we don't usually talk about the legal analytics side of electronic law reporting. And for some of them, number one, there's the one that's able to give you the locus classicus or the most cited cases on any issue of law. And right there, you just type it in, and apart from giving you the authorities, it also gives you on each issue the most cited authority on it. It gives you the history of cases on such authority. I mean, those are some of the tools that are available. So you are looking at, let's say, the proof of ownership. You are not only considering one case, but legal analytics will give you the history of all pronouncements. I mean, Nigerian jurisprudence from, let's say, 1960 to 62 to 63, you know, over the years up to the latest. And with that, you're able to look at the history of such issue of law in Nigerian. And these are things that helps you to be more, to be more productive. At the same time, it also tries to give you the exception. So it's one thing to have the authority and so based on fact, another to have some exceptions. And so you need to look within that and understand what exactly you must use to prosecute your case. And then let me go to the one of AI. And you know, we've been talking a lot about generative AI. And as, okay, let me just adopt what Mr. Alessandro said, Sir Etomi. I think that's a wonderful name for this panel. What Sir Etomi has said, how real AI is. A number of times, you know, we come to conferences and we talk about them, but the beauty of it is that it's making changes. It's changing the way we work, and legal practice as we knew it is fast changing. And I will give you one or two examples. I was at I won't mention the law firm, but I was at a big law firm recently, and I was just doing a little training, and I gave them a little example, a little assignment. I wrote a small story, and I said, okay, can you just give us likely issues for determination? Assuming a client works in your firm and gives you the story, can you give us likely issues for determination? And maybe in about 1 or 2 minutes, you know, they managed to just give one, and you know, just, okay, this, at least this is one of the issues for determination. And then I went on a platform, Prime GPT, and just put in that same story. And in less than 1 minute, it gave us 5 issues for determination. Now, apart from that, the first thing it did was it gave the likely subject matter, it gave the likely the jurisdiction which court should go to, then the mode of commencement, then it gave about 5 issues for determination, and on each issue of determination, it gave the arguments to support it, and for each of those arguments, it gave about 5 authorities to back it up. So in less than 1 minute, and by the way, please, let's listen to the previous sessions. They have told us AI at best is to prompt. So never just adopt it hook, line, and sinker and go and use it. But what that is bringing on the table is that what another person would have spent 2 days doing, you do it in less than 20 minutes. And that goes to what Mr. Adedepe has said on your realization rate. So your 1 hour billable rate becomes like times 10 because you are using AI. And the thing is, if you don't, people ask me, will AI replace lawyers? It cannot. But I always say lawyers that use AI will replace lawyers that do not use AI. Just as Uncle Sir E mentioned about Mr. John earlier. And that's the reality of it. And the earlier we take this reality, the better. And then we begin to move on. And apart from that, I mean, tools that are coming in. So we have mentioned, what are the trends? The trends.
But let me hold you there. Hold your thoughts.
All right,
to come to Abimo. I know you are the founder of the Digital Lawyers Network. By the way, we are both from Ibadan. So I'm glad to have my sister here.
Oh.
Now, what you do is practical. You are building a network of digital lawyers that's actually firmly placing young lawyers in the future. So what is in it for them? How do you convince your audience that that's the way to go?
Okay, thank you, sir.
So for Digital Lawyers Network, practically what we do is we train lawyers on the necessary skills they need. We train them on digital skills that they need to build a profitable legal practice. And some of those skills are digital marketing skills. So we teach lawyers that they can use social media to reach their clients and to generate more revenue. And what we teach them is not to go the ambulance chasing way. We teach them to invest in thought leadership content marketing strategies that would make them an authority in their practice area and would draw clients to their brand. So practically what they are doing is they are sharing information that will be useful to the public, and they are becoming thought leaders. And this in turn attracts people to their brand and makes them the go-to experts in their practice area. So we also teach them about search engine marketing. So we teach them how they can rate their law practice on the first page of search engines, just like every other person who wants to get services these days, just go to the search engine. People also go to search engine and want to get lawyers at the click of a button. And the truth is, once they get to the search engines and they are able to find some lawyers on the first page, they don't have the patience to go to the second or the third page. So it means that if your law practice is not on that first page, then you are not there at all. So there are times that we want to search for a lawyer. Even personally as a lawyer, I have a case in another jurisdiction, and I want to search for a lawyer in that jurisdiction. And the first set of lawyers that I see there are the lawyers that I contact, and it happens like that. So we teach them to have an effective and a responsive website, not just the website that they have and it's just an information website, a website that allows all kinds of communication, all business are done on the website, and the clients can get accurate legal service and make payments on the website. So we teach them practically how to develop their business virtually, because some of the young lawyers that will deal with are lawyers who cannot actually have a physical law practice, or they don't have that edge to build that robust, big physical office. So we tell them that you can start online, and then when you build your brand, then from there you become known, and then you can establish. And I have an example of a colleague of mine who started on Facebook, and when she was creating content, she got invited by the Central Bank of Kenya to come and speak, and all expenses paid. When she came back, they gave her a lot of money. She was able to establish a law firm here in Lagos. And she was even a young lawyer. She was around maybe 5 years or so at that time. So we train lawyers on how to be able to use digital marketing skills combined with their law practice skills to develop their legal business. Thank you, sir.
Good place to bring Okay in. In fact, Okay, when I was, by the way, your boss worked with Ms. Biola Morgan way back.
Yes.
Biola was the first partner I had when I started Gentlemen Partners. So there's some thread, common thread among them. So nice to meet you. When I was at the LSC doing my master's, we were visited by this group of Americans that were trying to create a data bank for the legal profession. With the benefit of hindsight, that was the beginning of digitalizing the legal profession, because we eventually found out that it was led to the LexisNexis bank, which was stored, I try to remember when in Chicago somewhere, and everybody had to subscribe to it before it was demystified and all that. So you've also had in-house counsel experience. So what can you tell these young lawyers? What should they be doing? How can they be like me?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Itomi, and thank you for the anecdotes earlier. It just shows that the problems of yesterday are the same as today, and will likely be the same questions we're answering tomorrow. And good afternoon, everyone. So in terms of
what to do, what role, and I think maybe just keeping it on theme because we're talking about technology and AI and how AI can and technology can help us in our day-to-day practice and make us more profitable. Really, technology is, as a number of speakers have said today, here to stay. And we can only either adapt or die, not to be too morbid, but essentially that's the way to go. You will need to upskill and then leverage on those technologies, things like your GPT. Law Pavilion is a very useful tool that we do use in my firm, and I'm sure a number of firms all over the country. So it's really you need to upskill. That's the first piece of advice, to ensure that you are up to date with what is in the market, what your clients desire. I think the pandemic changed a lot of the way we think. It made clients see that some of those things that lawyers often keep up there and make mystical and all is actually reachable with alternative legal service providers and all of that. So we must be able to leverage on our innate ability as lawyers to always learn, research, and then take advantage of technology to cut down on time, because really your most valuable resource as a lawyer is your time. And you must be, if you can find something that helps you cut down on the time that you spend on, will I say, routine or administrative tasks, you can then devote yourself to more profitable endeavor. Mr. Alex Adedipe has also spoken about, making your conversion rates and your utilization rate. These are very important things to have as a lawyer, because the less time you spend on each assignment, the more time you have to spend on other assignments.
Thank you.
And so I think that's
Thank you.
that's a good
So
point.
let me come back to you, Adeleke. I think we've all accepted we have to adopt legal tech solutions to the work that we do. Now, will always be that struggle between the personalized touch and what AI is producing for you. How do you maintain this balance?
Thank you once again, sir. Without sounding like this is the only answer, and with due respect to my sister, considering the nature and the character of the business that they project, right? I think that the best set of firms or the best set of lawyers in the coming decade will be the lawyers that can strike a perfect balance between the two. One thing that I know will always remain the same, and I can bet my top dollar on it, that in 30 years' time, in 50 years' time, in 100 years' time, will not change, will be relationship in this business. Now, and that relationship, if I'm to break it down, and I'll give you a perfect example. Technology cannot make me go to the funeral of a client's mother, right? I can't send my ghost or whatever it is that I want to send there. I would wish I could, but I can't, right? So the little things that you do, right, that keep your relationship with your client is going to count a lot. Because the truth of the matter is that today, we are so impersonal in how we provide services. So whatever we can do to strike that balance will make a lot of impact in how we do business. There's still a lot of clients today that if they call me, they say to me, hey, Leke, are you in town? I say, no, I'm not in town. When are you back? And I'm thinking, sometimes I have to lie because I know that means that person wants to see me urgently. So I'll ask, what is it about? No, let's see. So some people actually, there are a lot of clients who still want to have a face-to-face conversation. On my way here, I still got a text from someone who said, are you still in Abuja? Because I came in early this morning. I said, no, that I'm in Lagos. I said, what's up? He said, there's something, according to him, there's something cooking. I said, if it's cooking nice, I want to bring my spoon. How far? Then he said to me, no. It's a face-to-face conversation. So those realities are still very much there. But don't forget also, like we said earlier, the name of the game is profitability, right? So you want to make money. How do you make money? You can turn around work faster. How do you make money? You provide quality service. How do you make money? Speed, time, cheaper. And again, something else is going to change. Clients are continually demanding for cheaper service, right? So it means that we have to provide faster service at a cheaper cost and at the best cost, right? One thing that will help you do that really is technology. So you've packed that on the side. But how do I then keep that client when I have that client? I'll use relationship, right? I personalize it. I make phone calls when I can. In fact, a lot of them even want to chat with you on WhatsApp, which in itself is technology, in truth, right? Some of us forget that WhatsApp is actually technology, right? But a lot of clients are on your WhatsApp and they send you a message, oh, hope it's not too late to talk. Can I have a quick chat with you, right? So the reality is we will find that balance as we get along, right? But we should never think that we can impersonalize the legal practice. And even for litigators, right? Unfortunately, I don't go to court, but I'm a corporate lawyer, like my guy. But for litigators, we don't have that yet. There's virtual process, but you still have to sit in front of that camera, right? So again, there's going to be all of those things and all of those processes. In fact, lawyers in some cases, we are like counselors, we are like therapists, right? They want to see you, they want to hold you and tell you what the problem is. They want you to assure them some of those things are better done physically. So just to cut the long story short, the best set of lawyers will be the lawyers that can strike that balance between technology and personal service. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me come back to you. By this time, COVID taught us that that could be a different way of life. Court sittings were virtual. We're having more and more meetings online. And in fact, many offices I know today are adopting hybrid work patterns to save costs and other things without losing efficiency. Now, how would you, again, you are the tech guru, and I know you developed, it's the AI powered, is it an app, Timmy? What do you call it here? Timmy and all that. How will that help in dispensing justice? Because I'm looking for something that will help judges, again, reduce their turnaround time so they can deliver. Some of us who are sitting at the bar are moving for virtual court sessions to be part of our lives because it's happening everywhere else. Because the wheel of justice, they say it turns slowly, but at times if it's too slow, it could be meaningless to whoever is coming to seek justice. So we now have tools that can help that. How do we advance this conversation using apps like Timmy?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I will speak to this from two sides. One from to the bench, and then to the law firms. So for the bench, yes, I'm glad a number of courts are gradually adopting technology. But one of the things I think we also still need to push within the bench is the use of AI. Now, not that AI can help them take decisions, but it can help them evaluate counsel submissions. And there was one we did, which we worked on and we did last year. And that's one that helps them evaluate and harmonize written addresses of counsel. So, ordinarily after submitting the final written address, then it goes ahead. They have to read it, digest it, bring out the issues from one counsel, let's say claimants, and then from defense, harmonize it, and then decide what are the issues that the court, the assumption before the court. Now, we try to build something that helps them to automate that. So just load the two issues for the final written addresses, and the system harmonizes it and then brings out the ones that we think the judge the court should look at. Now, this took a lot of data to do because we've had to look at several written addresses from courts and then the decisions of the judgments of the court. Of course, that's what we deal with. So there's a lot of data in that on that, and that's what we have brought out, and we're still developing. As was it early this week when Kaduna to train the judges, and then there were some other suggestions from them as well. That okay, apart from just the final written addresses, look at the witness statement, help us integrate this, help us integrate that. So it's such collaborations that will, and it's not one size fits all one. Then it's not a solo thing. It has to be a multi-industry collaboration so that we listen to them, they listen to us, and then we can come up with something that's bespoke for the Nigerian jurisdiction. And we think that's the way forward. For law firms, what we are pushing right now is what we call organizational knowledge management. Now, as the law firms are also growing, and the co-panelist here has mentioned that clients are demanding more for less, and even pressure for delivery within time, and you can't afford to compromise on the quality. So what we've realized is a lot of law firms, like, sir, 47 years, I'm sure you've drafted thousands of agreements, of contracts.
Well, I'm struggling to find them.
Imagine a young lawyer comes to your firm. He has to learn the ropes. But look at the thousands of knowledge in your archives. Now, what AI does, and that's what we call a personalized AI for law firms. We call it organizational knowledge management. That digitize your documents, index them so that it's easier for you to find. But that's just the beginning. That's just a drop. The real thing is we build it into your own personalized AI system for your own law firm, so that if anyone is drafting something, and then even if you have just drafted one paragraph, he can use it to, you can just say, review with OKM. And the system will bring up your previous documents that are exactly about the same in context, so that such person doesn't begin to reinvent the wheel, and the person can learn. We call it leaning on the shoulder of giants. I mean, these are things, though so many lawyers have passed through your firm, they can lean on what they have done before. It increases the quality of work in the firm. And those are some of the solutions that we have on board. And as I said, it's just the beginning. A lot is still going to happen with generative AI, but bringing it to our clients, those are the realities we are seeing and we are building.
Wow, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. Okay, let me come back to you. I think also, I mean, let me just digress a little bit. I'm sure you've been following the argument regarding whether or not Nigeria should open up its legal space to foreign lawyers, competition, so many things. Recently, the Minister for Trade was alleged to have tweeted that we had reached agreement to open up this space to UK lawyers. The backlash was instant and all whatnot. But then the truth is, with technology, access to your market is there.
Yeah.
So how do we, this time now, let's talk like Nigerian lawyers, how do we collaborate? Yeah, how do we collaborate? We are talking, we will do all the legalese, but the practicals are different. In the past, what we were afraid of was people will come physically to come and open offices here. No, they're not doing it. They can stay from far away China and be practicing Nigerian law, all on the back of technology.
Yeah.
Now, for us who are putting so much industry, and for all these young lawyers who look up to us, how do we collaborate amongst ourselves to ensure that, I don't like to use the word protect the market, but let me say protect our market share. That's even better. Protect our market share.
Yeah.
Can firms not work together? Data protection is becoming big. Maybe you can talk on that a bit, because at times these collaborations, the fear that it could go awry is because of careless handling of data. So how can we
All right.
respond to competition like this?
Thank you. I think it's that's a very good question, and it's something that we must definitely contemplate. As you rightly said, a lot of international firms are already practicing, providing services to Nigerian clients, even from offshore. So I think for me, the key means of collaboration would be, first of all, increased knowledge sharing among firms. We need to find a way to partner with one another so that we can share the institutional information, if you like, that each organization has with one another. And in that way, you then, sort of protect the space. Again, I go back to my old mantra of you need to keep yourself abreast of what is going on, make yourself more attractive to those clients. Those issues that we've spoken about, clients we've all seen every day are demanding more for cheaper, faster, and we must be able to meet that demand in one way or the other. And of course, technology is a nice way to meet that bridge that gap, so to speak. It would be that knowledge sharing. Of course, it's a funny industry because in some cases, and I will say this a lot in telecommunications, for instance, that your competitors are also your customers, they are also your collaborators. So we must find that synergy amongst ourselves as firms, and again, train ourselves on areas, developing areas of the law, which we can now make useful to other, to our clients, I think.
I'm going to give you a bit more the last say on this panel, and then we'll get audience participation. Again, you are in the mix with the young lawyers. What is your advice? At times, we do too much solo work. And these young lawyers, if they find a way of collaborating on the back of technology, they can actually achieve a lot more. I can see 2, 3, and they don't really, by the way, need to be in the same location, in the same office. They can have this virtual network, and then they will be producing high quality legal work. What do you have to say on that? What can they do?
Thank you, sir. I think that for young lawyers, I think that there is only little that we can do alone, and that's just the truth. So for us to be able to go far, like personally, I see that most of the big law firms, they are law firms that leverage on collaboration. They have a lot of partners and everything. So if we don't just want to remain small in our law practice, then we also have to leverage that. And it is very good at our own age right now when we can leverage on technology. I know a few people who have law firms, virtual law firms, and their partners are scattered. Like their partners, some people are in Abuja, some are in Lagos, and they are having their law practice, and the practice is great, the practice is robust. So I would advise young lawyers to leverage on collaboration against having the solo practice, the small practice, dream to go high, dream to have a bigger practice. When you network it with other colleagues and you have them together, you bring together your resources, your client base, your knowledge, and it takes you far in the shortest possible time. I would also advise young lawyers to productize their legal service, because I noticed that we've been talking about clients now want services, more affordable and everything. So I also advise young lawyers to be able to network with their colleagues. Then you can package your legal services in form of digital products that can be sold to multiple clients times and times again. So it's like that. It helps you to reach more people and at a more affordable rate. And you can work with other lawyers on it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This has been so rich. Now, audience, I'll take 3 questions because we need to wrap up. in no particular order. You can just, okay, raise your hands. Let me just give you numbers. 3 questions.
Okay, we have a lady at the back.
Okay, you can manage that, okay?
Any other
one?
any other question? Okay, that makes it 2.
2. You are number
Last
2. And who's the last one? Who's the last one? Number 3.
Number 3. All right.
Okay. All
So,
right. Number 1. You
Should
can
we take
ask.
all the questions together or one
Yes,
after
we'll
the
take all the
other?
questions. And
All
then,
right. So you tell us your name and then just go straight to the question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, panel. Thank you very much for an insightful session. So I just had a question as it relates to productizing Lego services. I just wanted to know how. How can this be done?
Say that again. Doing what?
Okay, so you talked about that there is a need for young lawyers to productize their legal services. So I just wanted to know how.
Okay.
How can this be done?
Okay.
Okay. Number 2. Where is number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is in front.
Okay. Your name and then your question.
Thank
And
you.
if you want any particular member of the panel to answer it, you can say so or ask a general question and we'll take it.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll start by making a comment that this business conference has been worth my time. Thank you very much for putting this together. And it's quite motivational for young lawyers like myself that is very interested in intersection between law and tech. So thank you. My name is Soporichi Rufus, by the way. Okay, so one of the things I want to say, you know, overall from what I've heard today is that we should also know that, like someone had mentioned, that WhatsApp as well is a form of technology. As basic as your calendars, I like to talk about calendars because it helps me personally. As basic as calendars, that's technology, and that can help you a lot. You know, as a lawyer, helps to schedule appointments, help you to remind you about things that you will ordinarily forget. Okay, now my question is going to go to Mr. George. You might not remember me, but you signed my ventures form 2 years ago. Okay, how do we, I mean, in a regulated space like the legal profession, how do we evolve, especially because we have a lot of rules and regulations? Like you mentioned, it was a big deal for people to have websites in the past. So I'm imagining what it would be like, you know, in the coming years. How do we talk to these people to explain to them that tech is here and it's not going anywhere, and you know we need to evolve as times change without being summoned by the LPTC in the future? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Question number 3.
Close by 2. I think
Yes.
3 is also close by. Yes.
Your name and your question.
My name is Adesola Adeyemi. So my question is for Issa. You talked about how that we cannot impersonalize our practice. Well, I'm trying as much as possible to create a work-life balance in that I'm a mother of 3 and I run a law firm. I am trying not to bring work home. I'm trying as much as possible to create time for my family and all of that. And so I found that point very personal because in January, I decided to give someone else the phone number that everybody knows. And then I decided to have another phone number. But since we've been having issues, so many people are angry. So many people are saying, oh, you're saying all sort of things. I really want to know, it's been bothering me how to put that balance in place, not to make them feel like I'm trying to distance myself from them. At the same time, be able to maintain the sanity they would require for me to do their job. Thank you.
All right. So first question.
Productization.
Who wants to go? Okay. Okay, you want to go? Okay.
Okay, thank you. So for productization, you can think about different things that you can use your service, your legal service for. You can create alternative legal services. That's, for me as a business lawyer, there are a lot of alternative legal service
platforms now that create documents automatically and everything. Most of these things, funny enough, they're not done by lawyers, but you are a lawyer. So that's productization. So if you feed the information, your legal information into that machine, and it does that service, that's productization. Another thing is you can run trainings. Like personally, I have a training that I run, the Legally Fortified Business. Some of my friends to have their trainings. So you can train people based on your practice area. I'm a business lawyer. You may be a property lawyer. You may have a property something legal master class or something. And funny enough, most of these trainings are done online. You don't even have to be physically present. You can write your books. That's productization. You can create online courses. That's productization. Just think outside the box. You can package your legal knowledge in any way. I have a friend that our legal business course is 500,000, right? She's enrolling the 3rd session, I guess, for the year presently. She's in Lagos. Yes, she's also a young lawyer. So you can think of ways through which, and the knowledge she's giving them is what most of our friends or our kinds calls to ask her for on daily basis, and she talks to them for free on the phone. But it got to a point she just said, I'm not doing this free brain picking any longer. I want to package this knowledge into a product that they would pay for. I hope I made sense. Thank you.
Next question on evolving. Evolving.
Yeah,
she talked about how to evolve. Yes.
Ejiro wanted to know. Well, sadly, our profession is so, like you said, so conservative, and it's a work in progress to keep pace. I don't know. Those of you who do litigation will know that it's not too long ago they started accepting electronic evidence in court. You needed to go and have all your documents sworn to, but now your text messages, your WhatsApp messages are accepted. But you can imagine how long that journey has been and what we've lost along the way. All I can say, it's a work in progress. The legal profession will continue to keep in step. Its regulations will continue to keep in step with technological advancements. And there's a lot we all have to play, not just me, you. Are you a member of the Section on Business Law? Oh, you are, please. How many of you here are members of Section on Business? Please go and join, you haven't joined. Because these sections are the training arm, they're the learning arm of the NBA. And the idea is that the future belongs to those who will specialize. When they read my CV, you notice that I've done everything under the sun. It won't happen again in the future. You have to go and identify your niche area and go and do that. And things like how regulations can keep in step can be, you can get an advocacy group within the SBL, leveraging on the NBA to make sure these rules are influenced. Look, at the end of the day, it's human beings that bring about change. That's the honest thing. So if technology tools will help you advance your legal practice, then be somewhere where you can do the advocacy for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last question was about work-life balance.
Who's going to take that? Yes.
She accidentally pointed at me.
No, she pointed at you straight.
I mean, just before I take that, just to add to what Sir George said just now around evolving, I think that we as lawyers, and I think that echo starts from particularly the young lawyers. So there's like 3 generations of lawyers in this room. So there's young lawyers, younger lawyers, young lawyer, then no, youngest, right? So this is where I belong. But I think that, so when you look at the United States of America, for example, you see that each state bar appeared to be coming up with different policies and guidance around artificial intelligence. And so in those jurisdictions, you find out that the bar is leading those conversations. We have to lead the conversation. What would happen to us is that if we don't lead that conversation, they will drop something on our lap. And when they drop it on our lap, we'll be forced to accept it. So I know, for example, and we all know, we've heard a lot about what the Digital Economy Ministry at the federal level is doing. They are particularly paying a lot of attention to artificial intelligence. I think that the bar should take advantage of that and try to see how they can collaborate and work together to draft a policy and to draft guidance documents around how we start off conversation on the use of artificial intelligence, so that we're not in a situation where we just have to accept whatever it is that anybody else just comes up with somewhere in an office in Abuja or wherever. Now, back to work-life balance. If you know me very well, and if you know any of my lawyers or my colleagues at work, I'm not the best person you can talk to about work-life balance. Because I'm sorry to say that my life is not particularly the most balanced when it comes to work. And you can tell from all my head and my beards how unbalanced it is. If I give you an example, I slept at 1:30 a.m. I woke up at 4 a.m. to jump on a flight. I'm here, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock. I'm sure they define the path on work, this type of life for us. But I'm happy that you guys want to change it for us. But for some of us, it appears too late. So, but I'll try my best to speak to what you're saying. I think it's a function of strategy, right? If you want to build a firm that has different and multiple practice areas, you have written out in red pen that you don't want a life that is balanced. If you want a small law firm of 2 lawyers, 1 lawyer, 20 clients, 15 clients, you can do it. You don't have to take work home. It's not as if I want to take work home. Every step I take, the work is with me. Do you understand? There is no sleeping hour. If I wake up at 3 a.m. and you check your phone, somebody has sent you a message because the client is in another country, in another time zone, right? They've sent you an email. So how can you say that you don't take work home? And don't forget that in the age that we are, right? Everybody is a good lawyer. I generally say that 50% of the lawyers are as good as everybody else, right? So last year, they graduated about 250 first-class students, right? So that means there are 250 exceptionally brilliant students. How can number 1 person differentiate himself from number 249? Do you know what he needs to do? He needs to sell his time more. You have to differentiate yourself more. So the more time I can give to people, right, the more it is for me, and that's where relationship comes in as well. So some people will say to you that I like you because you're accessible. Anytime I send a message to you, you pick up your phone. Every time I call you, you answer your calls, right? Or you reply your message. If you cannot, you reply me immediately, right? That's what you are selling, right? Sometimes it goes beyond, oh, how much law do you know? Because at the end of the day, they've democratized the documents. Everything is democratized already. If you go, you just told you now about an example, looking for authorities and looking for all of these things, it's there. Do you understand? So it's now the person that can avail more time. The person that is found and is seen is the person that will get the work. If you don't take the work home, by 6 a.m. in the morning, by the time you want to go and meet the work has left. It's not your fault, right? But it depends on what you want. I've met people who have said to me, I just want a small practice. I've met people who have said to me, I just want to build X. I don't want to build Y. It depends. I have defined my path for myself. It will cost me more gray hair, but it is what I have chosen, right? And I'm ready to pay the price for it. So you cannot want to eat your cake, my dear, and have it, right? So you have to pay that price in a way for not having that massive practice, because that's why everybody is calling you. So you reduce the number of clients that you have, unfortunately, right? But you have to be able to manage it. But work-life balance is good. Mental health is extremely important, right? But again, you have to define, as a matter of strategy, what type of practice you're trying to build, what type of law firm you're trying to build, what type of life that you want for yourself.
Let me just add a little to that. You should also get a partner. Get a partner to take some of this pressure off you. Because at times when the practice centers around you, the one individual, you can't be all things to all people. You have to get your clients to get used to speaking to somebody else. All you owe yourself is to ensure that the work is done to the highest professional and ethical standards. So you, because of your peculiar problem, you need to balance your work and your home. You have to free up time. Then for that aspect of it that would suffer, get a partner that can help you drive that. And then adding to what Leke said, it doesn't remove the need for you to still call them up so they know you are there. In fact, a client will tend to respect you more if they know that if you are not there, their work will not suffer. So that's the kind of balance you need to attain. So let me bring this session to a close. My panelists have been so wonderful. Please help me give them a round of applause. Like I said, I love these boutique conferences because you are not distracted. A format very well done. I mean, you do this all the year. So, and then one opportunity you have, one privilege you have is a networking privilege. Feel free to take their contact details and the conversation can go beyond here. Thank you all for coming, and then it's a fitting end to a wonderful conference. Thank you.
I believe you and I can agree that you've gotten more than enough value for your time today. And if you know that you've been impacted in all ways as far as the theme of this event is concerned, please, one more time, please, I'm begging you, let us celebrate these individuals, these phenomenal individuals. Thank you so much. From George Etomi to Ade, please keep clapping, to Adeleke, to Toyosi, to Okechukwu, to Okpe. Thank you so much for that wealth of wisdom and knowledge that you've shared with us. Right about now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to appreciate them like we always do. And I've been compelled to call upon Mercy Agogwa to do this. Yes, so I love that surprise on your face. Please let us put our hands together for Mercy as she makes her way to come and help us present the plaques, all right, to our panelists. We're going to start quickly by appreciating Okpe. Okay, just go. Mr. Okpe, please, you can step forward to receive photographers. Thank you. Okay. Okay, the next, Okechukwu. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. All right, and we appreciate Toyosi next. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming. Thank you. Next is Mr. Okay, I would prefer to use the word phenomenal Adeleke. Let's put our hands together for him. Okay, finally, not the least, one of the best moderator for today, our daddy. Yes, so our daddy, as she rightly says, thank you so much for coming, sir. All right, and one more time as they make their way off the stage. Oh, just before that, a picture, please. A group picture, yes. Event committee, please make your way forward. You can hold your plaques. The plaques are here. Please, we would love for you to help us put the plaques somewhere conspicuous in your office. All right, photographer. Please, we'll wait for one more ahead. All right, as they make their way off the stage, ladies and gentlemen, let us celebrate our final panelists for today's conference. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. We do appreciate you. All right. And on that note, we've actually come to the end of the Legal Business Conference 2024. It is my most honor to welcome the convener of this event, the chief organizer of this event, the founder of Legal Business Network International. It is because of how we actually gathered here today. She made this very possible. And she's going to be coming to share closing remarks. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not tired, join me to celebrate and also welcome to the microphone Ifeoma Ben. Please, let's put our hands together for her, please. I call her the legal queen.
Thank you, Tony. I don't know which of the microphones are better now. Okay, I think I prefer this. So thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to have all of us here. In fact, I have a litany of Thanksgivings to give. I don't know where to start, but I'll start by appreciating our major partner, and I will say my boss is here, the technology committee of the MBA section on business law, and we have in our midst the incumbent chairperson, Mr. Ikemesit. Please stand up for recognition. They are part of the team that also collaborated with us in putting together this event. And if you wonder how I get the beautiful ideas, it's part of the from the committee. And I'm privileged to be the secretary of the technology committee of the MBA SBL. And in that committee, we do quite a lot in aspect of emerging technologies and other parts also of how technology intersects with business, especially law practice. So please, if you want to, I know we have learned a lot here today, but you know, learning is a continuous process. If you want to learn more about the technology committee of the MBSBL, please, you can meet our chairman there, Mr. Ikemesit Effiong, or meet myself, the secretary, so we can tell you more about what we do in the committee and how you can also leverage the platform to develop your talents. So I will also acknowledge all my other team members who have worked tirelessly. In fact, most of them have not slept well for days now. I have Olubukola Ogunsakin. Buki was the moderator of the first panel, and she was very instrumental to what he is saying today. So I'm very grateful to them. Vera Ben Okoro. She's also part of our team and my also amiable sister. Sometimes some people still ask us whether we are twins. I say she's my, I would rather call her my daughter, but she's my younger sister. She's also very key to what we are doing today. And others, I really appreciate them. This is Nkume, Kelechi Chinono, and my able executive assistant, Olunlade Loluwa. Rere, please stand up. I know you have not really rested well. I don't know. Okay, I think she stepped out. And also, Emmanuel Loye, who is a graphic designer, who has been, all the graphics I've been seeing from day one, the events, graphics, all the speakers, he's been, Emmanuel, please stand up. He's been the one doing all the magic. Thank you for all you do for the team. Thank you. So I would also appreciate in a very special way all our speakers. You can also agree with me that they did justice to the various topics, the panel discussions, and I appreciate them. A lot of them, it wasn't convenient for them. In the second panel, somebody, Jamal, joined us from California, and it's like 6 hours behind his time. So he would just be waking up, but he made the sacrifice to join us to have share the insights from Google. So we thank them. I thank all of them. I may not be mentioning names because we are far beyond the stipulated time. So panelists for the first panel, I'm most grateful. The immediate past chair of the MBA SBL Technology Committee, permit me to single him out, Rotimi Ogunyemi. Rotimi and I has been working on this from since we got back from Christmas holidays. When I called him, Rotimi, I want this, we are looking at having this the Legal Business Conference this year focus on artificial intelligence. He saw it's a brilliant idea, and we know we are sharing our thoughts, and he gave a lot of insight. And if you look at the topics and the concept itself, you see how professional it is, because Rotimi was instrumental to coining and structuring most of the topics and even the theme of the conference. So I'm particularly grateful to him. I know he had left for another engagement. I'm also very grateful for all us panelists, second plenary session. We are grateful. And for the last session, the third plenary session, you'd see that we wouldn't even be tired if they continue speaking, because they have so much more to share. So thank you so much. And this event wouldn't have been possible today without our sponsors, because you know that there is nothing you can do without money. So we are most grateful to all our sponsors. The economy is not smiling, but they still dedicated their resources in getting us, giving us the sponsorship and the financial support. So I'm grateful to the law suite, my law firm, and my partners for their support. I'm also particularly grateful to Kenya Partners, and I know they are here. Thank you, Larry, okay, and Co. Thank you for making this happen. And for all our supporters, Sahel AI will be our facilitator for tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that briefly for the workshop. They are doing that, facilitating the workshop for us on legal AI. So I'm grateful to them. Punuka Attorneys and Solicitors, Justice World Foundation, Digits Law. Digits Law has made a presentation about the solutions they offer for lawyers. So you can also meet them outside to know more about their solutions and how that can help you also become more efficient in your law business. Jojitomi and Partners, Godwin Omaka SAN, Chinwo Omaka, Florence Atuluku, Emobo Majemite, Messi Agogwa, and our media partners, Law House Media, all the blog posts and awareness posts we have been you have been seeing. They are all done by them without charge. So we are grateful to them as well. So I want to, in a very special way, also talk about our event for tomorrow, our virtual event for tomorrow. It's the Legal AI Workshop. If you registered for this conference, you would have also seen another link that redirects you to register for the workshop if you are interested. And you see that this conference will not allow us to do justice to everything about AI and how we can even leverage some of the tools that we currently have to build a profitable law practice. So we have specially prepared a workshop focused on AI and law and how you can use artificial intelligence to carry out your day-to-day activities. These solutions are there, these tools are there, but some of us are not even aware of them, not to talk of knowing how to use them. So we are working together with Sahel AI, the developers of Esquire.Africa, who are the facilitators of please, can the IT team put forward the so I don't know whether you have the workshop there, but I thought maybe you would have just put it forward. So, but you can still register. Today is the last day for those who still are interested in being part of the workshop tomorrow. Please, you can still register for the workshop. And please, I want you to show the Legal Enterprise coaching program and the other parts of the. So we also, in the brochure, there are other information there. I believe we all have electronic brochure because we are doing digital activities. So we also have a digital brochure. So if you don't have it, we send to all the registered attendees. They were all sent to your email earlier this morning, but we also have a barcode that you can scan to download it if you don't have it already. So maybe the IT team can put that up if they have it. So thank you so much. The Legal Enterpriser coaching program is about is an 8-week coaching program that is also put together to help lawyers, build and sharpen their business skills. IT team, please, can you help put that part of the program on the screen? Okay, so is on the brochure, so you can also read it. And you would want to learn more about law and business and technology. You also have the opportunity to do that. So we want to eventually, bring this event to an end by thanking all of us, especially those who have stayed to the end, and all our amazing Abimo. Thank you, coming all the way from Ibadan. So she runs digital law practice, and she has been doing amazing work. So I thank all the speakers, all the attendees. In fact, we wouldn't have a fruitful session if we don't have the attendees also listening and engaging. So it has been an engaging session, conference from the first session to this last panel. So I say a very big thank you and thank you and thank you once again. So we hope to also have you in another amazing edition of our conference, COM 2025. Thank you for being part of this year's events. God bless you all.